What is going on, everybody? It is episode 666 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here on this demonic Friday afternoon with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis actors. It's Mary. It's true. This dreaded episode is now upon us. But there's nothing to be worried about. Cross yourselves, Crisis actors. I love Brett came up with that for us. That's going to be the slogan of the day. But I'm really excited because I've been wanting to get Aidan and Shane on an episode together for a long time now. And finally, today is the day. So both of you, introduce yourselves, please. Aidan, take the lead.
Me first? All right. Hi, guys. I am Aidan Mattis. I am the host and lead researcher of the Lore Lodge, where we talk about everything from the paranormal up through the very real and very upsetting unsolved mysteries of the world.
And speaking of the paranormal, there was already playback issues today on the stream, which means that
there would be something.
Which means that Shane must be here.
The last time I was on a show with Aidan, the whole show collapsed.
We don't speak of it.
That was
and Aidan was great. He was great. I ended up sitting in my guest spot, and he went to the producer chair, tried fixing things. He did his best. It was a mess. But yeah, I'm the host of Inverted World Live, which was Aidan. Aidan was on maybe episode.
It was like 6
or 6. It was awesome. Once we got the show up and running, it was so much fun. Very happy to be here, guys.
And we are happy to have you guys here. Yeah, we're gonna do our very best to get through today's episode with minimal problems.
I just know there are gonna be tech issues, and I know people were asking me if I was gonna bring like a spray bottle of holy water. I decided not to do that because when you spray holy water around, it's not good for the technology, and we're wary of tech issues as it is.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you could be like, yeah, sure, it might be the devil, but it might also be that you spray liquid on the electronics, right?
Yeah, no.
The ghosts that make the computer run get very upset with you.
They do not like
guys.
it.
Before we get started, guys, hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so yet already. Please and thank you. We just passed 129,000 subscribers, so thank you guys so much for that. Remember to share the video with your friends, family, loved ones, mortal enemies, everyone you know, because the best way to help shows like this grow is to share them out with other people so that they can check it out and share them with their friends.
We have a $20 super chat from Ulvin McGoth. Happy 666. I'm excited to hear Mary go off about the Olympics. Like she almost blew up in rage learning Disney used to give out Bible quotes and not anymore. I love how zealous you are. Well, I don't know if I was about to blow up in rage when I found out, but
I mean, it was
thought
more
it was
like
wholesome.
Mild curiosity and interest. That's
I
like
don't know.
a weird
Maybe I just
of
give off rage vibes, but I'm honestly not even angry. We're going to give it a very sober assessment today,
Yes.
and we've had a whole week to think about it.
Where did Disney give out Bible quotes?
Yeah, someone in the Superchats yesterday told us that Walt Disney was Christian and that he we used to let in children for free in the parks, and that they had pamphlets to hand out to families to evangelize them.
Wow. What happened? We've come a long way.
I don't know exactly why that was. I didn't know that Walt Disney was Christian. I also, assuming that it's, him cryogenically freezing himself would say something about his religious beliefs as well.
I don't know if he did do that, but I like to think he did. I like to think his frozen head is somewhere beneath Disneyland.
I still believe that one.
Mainstream conspiracies.
Early one, yeah.
Like that. Him and who was it? Him and what baseball player was it?
I don't know.
Somebody knows who I'm talking about here. There's him and like a famous baseball player are believed to have their heads frozen.
Interesting.
He did both underneath.
Maybe not both underneath Disney, but yeah.
He did make the best movie about a witch, in my opinion, and that's Mary Poppins.
I guess I should fact check that. Like, was Walt Disney Christian?
Don't ask Google.
I would guess.
Godless
I'm asking
Google's not going to tell you.
Ted Williams, yes.
It says Walt Disney identified as a Christian and was grounded in old-fashioned religious observance.
Sweet.
He was a zealous member of the Congressional Church in Marceline, Missouri. So that's all it says.
One of the last great innovators in Hollywood.
A lot of people would agree with you on that, right?
The way he made the animatronic bird and all the songs, like they worked so hard on. Mary Poppins is my favorite movie of all time.
Well, speaking of animatronic,
I just want to say that. I want to put it out there.
Speaking of animatronic birds, we got a lot of stuff to get into.
Oh wait, should we play the?
Yes. Before we get into the intro, thanks to Shane, we have a special message from Father Calvin Robinson over in the UK.
Hello, Shane.
A special message for our 666th episode. I'm really excited for this.
Let's go
I
ahead and listen to
fangirled
this.
when I saw it.
Here we go.
Hello, Shane. It's Father Calvin Robinson here. I hope you're well. I just wanted to send a quick note to say don't worry about the episode being the 666th episode of Pop Culture Crisis. We are not pagans. We're not superstitious. We don't do things like ignoring the number 4 or the number 13 or the color red like other cultures do. We stick to our basic culture, but we honor the scriptures and note that we will know the beast by his name and by his number, and his number will be 666, and that number will be marked on the forehead of people, on the right hand side of the forehead of people. But that doesn't mean we no longer use the number 666. The number 666 is still a number between 665 and 667 outside of the use of the beast. We cannot give over this entire number to the beast. We cannot let him take ownership, just as we wouldn't give up the entire color red or the door number 13. We can't give over ordinary, normal, mundane, earthly realmly matters to the enemy. We have to ridicule him. We don't give him power. We take power from him by laughing at him. And actually, by having you guys on the 666th episode, you can laugh at the fact that the beast will also be called 666. The number of the beast will be 666. And you can laugh at that fact. You can scorn him and take away some of his power. God bless you all. May the Lord shine his face upon you. May you all recognize him and keep his name, the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, in your hearts and on the tip of your tongues as you proclaim his message. Spread his gospel, spread his good news on this episode of Pop Culture Crisis, and turn 666 into a sign of Christ rather than a sign of the beast. Take care. God bless.
Yes.
Shout out
love
to
that.
Father Calvin Robinson.
He's the coolest.
How'd you pull that off?
Just messaged him.
Just messaged him?
Yeah, we follow each other because of fake clouds.
Oh,
He was
okay.
interested in the fake cloud.
So,
kid.
he posted something a while back about clouds, and then everyone tagged me in it because of the fake clouds situation.
Yes.
And that was the beginning, and I was like, this is the perfect guy.
That's what you're known for now.
That is it.
That was amazing.
A very
So-
encouraging message. So
Love that.
we're fine.
So what are we getting into today after that beautiful message to start the show? Well, we are going to talk about the opening of the Olympic ceremony. Certainly this Olympics in general has not been without a ridiculous amount of controversy. It seems like it kind of stems from every day some new, conflict arises from the Olympic Games, which is weird because at the same time, I know that the Olympics are on Peacock, and I'm like, did anybody actually buy Peacock to watch the Olympics? I can't imagine.
Does anyone
So,
care? I don't know.
it's weird. So we're going to talk about the opening of the Olympic ceremony. We're also going to talk about Loeb, the AI-generated demon and/or cryptid, which I've been told both. Mary said cryptid and demon.
Yeah, so we were going to talk about this the last time Aidan was here when you were out of town,
Yes.
Brett, but we ran out of time, and finally, this is the episode where we're finally going to talk about it.
So we're going to get into it. We're also going to talk about Disney has officially entered the ring for the Mandela effect. I don't know if you guys saw this going around the other day. So there's a lot of false memories that seem to arise from people imagining Tinkerbell using the wand on the top of the eye in the Disney logo against the blue screen. And it goes into a whole rabbit hole of not just whether that was real or not, but also the amount of memories that stem from a corporate structure having 10 different versions of a logo and everyone then
And perhaps doing social experiments on their viewers.
Look, I used to say look, people wouldn't be so quick to believe that they were experimenting on you if there wasn't all this evidence of Google doing all sorts of social engineering over the years that they've openly spoken about. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Vitaly and the many celebrities who seem to be getting in on the child predator catching game these days.
It's weird,
It
but
is.
I don't hate it.
No? So we're going to get into that. We got a bunch of other stuff.
Better at it.
So if you guys are ready, we will just get started. Ready?
Ready.
Let's go.
Good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Let's get started. Okay, first things first. Brand new evidence comes out yesterday, that seems to confirm something that Gen Z has known all along, and that's that birds aren't real.
Yeah, new Chinese spy drone confirms Gen Z's viral theory that birds aren't real.
Here we
What
go.
is this?
Of TMZ of all places reporting this.
另一名队员呢，现在释放了一个仿生鸟，
So that's the Chinese
它的
spy
作用
drone.
是现在
very
呢看到的
convincing.
这些仿生鸟在空中呢进行
Yeah.
对于我们前方的区域进行前期的侦查。
This is
方
nothing
法
new.
侦两个测点和真的。
Okay.
Nothing new.
Nothing new. Okay.
So I just want to reiterate to people who haven't heard me say it before: some birds are fake, some birds are real.
So they intersperse between the two.
You gotta know,
I said
yeah.
that I used to work at a company where there was the most, literally the most normal looking person you've ever met in your entire life. Have you ever seen those videos of the guy? He goes around and he makes the videos about his boring life and he loves it. He goes around, he walks into work. He puts his laptop down. We've talked about it on the channel. And for some reason, it inspired a whole bunch of hate about this guy who just likes his 9-to-5 corporate job. He's that guy, except for he's got a big birds aren't real sign in his cubicle. And I was never able to figure out whether he actually believed it or whether it was just a troll.
But because it's a Gen Z theory, what I think is that it's totally ironic and it's, in a way, making fun of conspiracy theories in general, which reminded me of Discordianism, a topic that came up last time.
Do you want to
we were
explain
here.
that to people?
Yeah, it's a fake religion of people who were trying to propagate the theory that the Illuminati is actually in control of the government and the entertainment industry. They sent in fake letters to the editor at Playboy to try to convince the public of this. But what they were trying to do is cause a general distrust in the media and the powers that be. But the reality is the opposite thing happened and people started believing everything they read. And now the Illuminati conspiracy theory is one of the most prominent ones out there that you can find on the internet, ultimately due to their influence.
Which means we are once again going to get context noted here on this episode. We just did the other day because we were talking about twisters being dunked on by the media because it didn't talk about climate change, which immediately got us a climate change context.
We're going to get another one now.
We're now going to get that and one.
And Illuminati.
Can you get double context boxes?
Do they appear?
We're gonna get-
That would be awesome.
Each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think it's just one of my favorite parts about Discordianism is how obvious they were. Like, everyone buys the whole Illuminati thing. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people. They were not subtle about the fact that this was satire. They held, they had, much like most religions, they had tenets, right? These tenets were called the pentabarf. And they were, there is no goddess but goddess, and she is your goddess. There is no, the goddess was called Eris. There is no Arisian movement but the Arisian movement, and it is the Arisian movement. And every golden apple core is spelled C-O-R-P-S, is the beloved home of a golden worm. 2, a Discordian shall always use the official Discordian document numbering system. 3, a Discordian is required during his early illumination to go off alone and partake joyously of a hot dog on a Friday. This devotive ceremony to remonstrate against the popular paganisms of the day, of Catholic Christendom, no meat on Friday, of Judaism, no meat of pork, of Hindic peoples, no meat of beef, of Buddhists, no meat of animal, and of Discordians, no hot dog buns.
Sign me up for this.
It sounds like they're trying to delegitimize people who would want to believe that they shouldn't trust the government, right?
Well,
like they went out of their way
I
to
came
make it
upstairs and they were
sound
talking
silly.
about left libertarianism, and everything they said was basically everything I tell you on the show all the time, which is that politicians are evil, the succubus of the world that are, feasting off the blood of the American
I do
people.
believe that, but that is a clearly ridiculous.
Here's where the split is. This was for the people who got it.
Right.
This was for the people who are like, oh,
The in crowd.
this is satire. This
Right.
is supposed to be a message.
Right.
The Playboy articles were not for those people.
Where did Hugh fall on this, Hefner?
I don't know what Hugh Hefner's position was. This was, I think, 1968, 1969.
Okay.
He was busy at
I'm
that
sure he
Yeah.
was
He had
aware.
better things to do.
He was getting
Interesting.
busy.
Because these guys weren't just like, not everybody involved was just writing letters to the editor of Playboy.
Right.
Playboy's editors were involved.
Right.
They knew what was happening.
Of course. With the
Yeah.
pentabarf.
So
Yeah,
it kind of
really.
snowballed out of control, and
Yeah.
we've gotten to the point where now, I guess Gen Z has their own version of Discordianism, and it's birds aren't real.
I mean, on a practical level, isn't I guess a satellite is just too expensive. Like satellite time is so expensive that individualized drones would make more sense.
You got to personalize the
Yeah.
spies. I mean, because the thing is, there is truth attached to these
Isn't
situations.
like 15 minutes of satellite time equal to like a government worker's yearly salary or something
jeez.
like that?
What a
Like
sad thought.
satellite time is really expensive.
Did you hear of Operation Acoustic Kitty?
Huh?
Aidan, you know about that one?
No.
Operation Acoustic Kitty is when during Cold War, our government tried turning cats into spies at the.
Oh, wait,
at
yes,
the
I have
embassy.
heard of this.
Didn't go well because
Well, yeah.
cats are untrainable. Most cats.
Out of all the animals, you'd think
they put a microphone in its ear.
You'd think you'd pick the ones that didn't just like treat you like shit and then expect you to feed
Honestly,
them.
Like, why not
honestly.
a dog?
Yeah.
Honestly, why not make a whole fake cat?
Yeah.
Just send it on in there.
Well,
But I guess it's
they draw
easier.
less attention to themselves than dogs.
Garfield
True.
was
You know.
predictive programming.
Yeah.
Predictive program. See, you've said that, and now in a year and a half, I'm going to see it on Twitter.
Yeah, that's how it
We love
starts.
lasagna, and we poison the lasagna after that.
I also wanted to show a video of the play acting cult leader of Burns Aren't Real puking on TV.
Yeah, you're right.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
So are there people that find your account and think that it's real?
You know, I think there's a lot of people that find our social media accounts and see a different side of Gen Z in America.
There's a cat right there. It's listening.
That's a fake cat.
Men, women, and children that are aiming for change. And I think that is, you know, just what our movement's all about.
But it's more than just Gen Z's falling for conspiracy theories. Why?
Honestly, he looked like he was about to throw up the whole time.
This is Andy Kaufman. It's-
So he's clearly doing a bit,
oh,
right?
for sure.
Like
I think he's doing a bit for sure.
He looked on the verge of throwing up the whole time.
But just because he's doing
Was
a
just-
bit
was it
doesn't
just-
mean he's not telling the truth.
was it Ipecac in the?
Nice.
I feel like Ipecac wouldn't have hit that fast.
True. I like. There's so many people online these days that are playing a character. Who's that Angela girl? Who's
Angela Belcamino?
Bold
Yeah.
lip?
Living Belcamino.
Like that's a character.
Angela Belcamino is the greatest thing on the internet.
It took me so long to figure it out. Because
great.
I wasn't paying much attention.
Right.
I would just see her tweets and be like, I could see that being something
She's
somebody
just close
actually
That's why it's
said.
so good.
She's
That's why it's
people,
so good.
very, very Twitter addicted people still fall for it.
a lot
So
of women
it's-
excel at satire.
Yeah.
And-
No, I said like because you have to understand like the best satire is performed by people who truly understand what they're making fun of, right?
Look back at early Alex Stein videos. The right thought he was truly that person, truly like a trans swimmer. Like there were people
That's
upset about him.
crazy because I
know.
always knew he was fake.
Clearly, but it's like reading Pentabarf. You know, some people get it, some people don't.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the fact that Tom Cruise is going to the Olympics too, because he can't help but do deadly things all the time. It says he's going to basically close out the Paris Games. He will perform a stunt where he rappels down the side of the stadium in France and then carry the Olympic flag to LA and skydive down onto the Hollywood sign. He's already done the skydiving part, was pre-recorded.
Okay.
Now he's going over there. Maybe he just doesn't want to finish the new Mission Impossible.
I mean,
Maybe
he should really be able to transport to California
should.
if he were doing the stunt the way it should be done. But
I think the idea was to have it televised.
Yeah.
Be a long.
yeah, but this is going to be the
Actually,
only.
really
long,
funny,
do
though.
it really long.
This is going to be the saving grace of the Olympics.
It will. It's all hopefully people will remember. People will just remember the cool. Like, why couldn't you do something cool like that at the beginning?
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
need to ruin the whole.
I'm going to tell my kids that the whole thing, him going from Paris to LA, was televised, and I'm going to have AI make it happen.
So, like, wait. So, what year was it that the dude took the jetpack over the Olympics? Is that in the 80s? Does
don't
anyone
know.
remember that? Somebody in the
don't know.
chat will remember. Like, a dude flew a jetpack over the.
Was it Tom Cruise then?
I feel like we're going backwards then.
It was the
Yeah,
it was
right?
the 80s, so it could have been Tom
It
Cruise
could have
then
been,
too.
yeah.
But the point is that's what these ceremonies should be. It
Mm-hmm.
should just be people doing ridiculously, unnecessarily dangerous feats.
Like swimming in the Seine.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. I wish Tom Cruise was actually performing or competing in some of these games.
I'm sure he
It
could.
would be funny.
He could. He
I
could
mean,
do the shooting probably.
no, he
Okay,
could
I
do the
do want to
running.
know how. I want to know how we lost shooting.
He could do running.
Seriously.
It is our one thing that we're good at.
That dude who got silver is a spot.
That's what I was just going to say.
He's
The
a
guy from
spot.
Turkey's
There's
amazing.
no way he's not a spot.
He's an
He's a
assassin.
vibe.
That man was professionally trained.
That dude goes in and out of hotels and nobody looks at that dude twice.
The
That-
hand in the pocket.
Yes, that dude is.
So
There's
good.
probably a couple of world leaders that have bit the
He's
dust
casual
because
with
that
it.
guy is.
He's the guy who put the bomb in for the Mossad in Iran. Sorry,
I
it's
wouldn't be
not so pop culture, but that's the guy.
That's okay. I mean, like when you saw that, I'm like, oh come on, that dude's an op. Like,
What about
what?
the girl from what was she, Korean?
Yes.
With the cool glasses.
Yeah.
She's amazing too.
Still though, it's like it's the idea of him being able to go into a tournament with no equipment whatsoever and win,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Genius.
I do think it's a little silly though that the shooting competition is what it is. Like, do a 3-gun. Yeah.
Right.
I want to see these Olympians get up there with a single action revolver and pop a target 6 times in a row in under 3 seconds.
It's the same reason that America doesn't win in skateboarding, because the stoners can't compete because you have to be drug tested, right?
Yeah.
So you know, once you turn it into Olympic sport, all its personality goes out the window.
Is blading in the Olympics? Why not?
But skateboard, like, and now they're doing in 2032 they're adding stunt gymnastics, which is the stuff where like the dudes pick up the girls and basically throw them around like rag dolls and catch them and stuff like that. Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
They're adding new sports every
That sounds kind of like the boxing match the other day.
I was trying to I was trying to think about like why it just feels like we just had the whole Simone Biles controversy recently, and it's because they did the 2020 Olympics in 2022 because of COVID.
Right.
I was like, why do I like how short our memories are? Like, why do I remember that happening
forgot
here?
that.
Yeah, I was like, why do I remember that happening here? I'm like, oh, because it happened while we were like, you know, it was just a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Does anybody else have like weird amnesia of 2020?
Time stopped.
Like, it doesn't feel like a real year of my life. I feel like I'm still 25 sometimes, and like I never had that year.
Yep.
Is it because of lockdown measures or?
That's the thing is we didn't really have intense lockdown measures where I was. It was like wear a mask. Everything was closed for a couple of weeks, but after that, it was wear a mask.
2021.
I think just because
2021
you
was
might
the year
not
after.
have had lockdown measures, the world around you shut down, and time was affected.
Yeah, like I still aged, but I feel like I look back. It's like it came up with the case I've been looking at, the Sebastian Rogers thing.
Right.
There's this custody battle going on in the background of this whole thing for the last like 8 years.
Yep.
We got
And
a
it's
20 from ICL, sorry. He said, we should call Mary's Simps the tater tots. Why? Because I'm eating tater tots right now. Mary's tater tots. You know what? That sounds weird. F Mary's tater tots. I'm taking it back. I'm going back to work now. Bye.
I mean, Mary's Little Lambs was better than that.
I
just
uncomfortable.
disavow
I'm
all of
upset.
this. All of the ideas.
I feel like I need to go take a shower.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're moving on. We are moving on. Kanye West was supposed to drop an album today and just didn't happen.
He was never going to drop
Was
that
this a
album.
troll? What was
No,
this?
it's
Didn't
like
he do this like 6 months ago?
I mean, he does have a history of doing late releases, but this just seems like a miscommunication on his
It's just
website's
incompetence.
I think when someone on his team was saying someone without the proper credentials posted that on the website that it was
I
coming
love
out
that
today.
happens sometimes where like movie studios will release trailers at the wrong time, and I love the idea that there's just some intern who has access to all the YouTube channel
Right.
because boomers don't
guess.
understand tech.
Yeah.
and just scheduled it for the wrong upload time.
So there's a lot of dysfunction at Yeezy right now. I just went to the Yeezy website and it just has not a countdown, but you know, live timing, and it says all orders fulfilled. There's nothing about
You know
the
why
album.
it says that?
Why?
Because when they released his shoes and other merch, like the sweatpants, I believe they were so far back on getting orders out that people are starting to get really upset. It was like 6-7 months some people weren't getting their orders. So they said, I believe a month or two ago, we're not doing new orders. We're just going to fulfill the ones that are out. So that's why it says that.
It's weird because I ordered some of the pods and then they sent 2 of them to me. Sent me my order twice.
I think Yeezy's a total
they're very confused.
dysfunction mode. Yeah. And I don't know. I don't think Vultures 2 is ever going to happen. He's promised Vultures 2 and 3. But yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. Sorry,
well,
people.
there's one fan who posted a shrine for Kanye to summon Vultures.
He's summoning
2.
it.
Oh yeah,
Summoning
I saw
it.
that. Who posted that?
What's the
I'm
name
not
of the
sure
account?
who
Was it the fan account?
It's from Kanye. Yay updates.
Yeah.
I don't know who posted the
yeah.
photo originally, but he needs to clean his toes.
Yes.
Oh geez, there's toes in this picture.
Yeah, in the
Yeah, I
slides.
see it now.
But,
Yeah, I don't know. I there's definitely songs that weren't on Vultures 1 that could be used on Vultures 2 that I think are actually much better. I think Vultures 1 is really, really bad. And for those who haven't heard me talk about Kanye before, that's like my favorite artist of all time. I love his music. Vultures 1 is a complete letdown and seems very lazy. And there were songs left off of that album that are awesome, that I've heard. And a lot of people probably have heard too from leaks and whatnot. That it could be great, but yeah, I don't think it's happening.
But there's good news because Marilyn Manson is back on tour.
Yeah.
Another canceled artist
Yeah.
is actually following through and posting new music.
Yep. It's good. The 90s are alive.
Thoughts?
Smashing Pumpkins came out today too. I think it's great. I love it. I'm a big fan of his. He looks healthy. He looks sober. The music is really good. It's somehow dissident and hopeful. The song's got a huge chorus. I think it's gonna be a huge comeback. Honestly,
A lot of people are posting. Like I've got a lot of friends who are big Manson fans who are posting on Instagram.
Colonel Kurtz is going to see him
She's there
perform
right now.
today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But she was posting about how one person in her comments thinks that she is secretly Marilyn Manson's daughter.
Yes.
oh,
And
that's a
she
good
was-
conspiracy.
She was like, I was born too early for that to even be a
Nah,
believable
let's
theory.
spread that. Let's spread
They
that.
were like,
Latest
no,
is-
you look so young because your skin is just too supple and youthful
Supple?
for me to believe that you're actually
What a
that old.
word.
So I was like, okay, that's kind of a flex.
On a list of words, that's one that gets typed way more than it gets said in the real world. Supple. Supple.
Yeah.
We
Supple.
got another 20 from Boosted Yogi. He said the blip.
I mean, you could consider 2020 the blip.
Yeah.
In a
the
lot of
blip?
ways. Look, I loved. I've told you
It
guys
was the
before,
great reset.
COVID was the greatest year of my life.
It was really good.
Yeah, I had an amazing year of just
Yeah.
skating
I
every
wouldn't
day.
call it the greatest year of my life, but
I still had a job. I did my job didn't close down, and I got to skate every day at businesses that were shut down, and no cops would come in 6 feet of you if you were out skating. So you pretty much were given free reign of your city, and it was like a ghost town everywhere you went.
My daughter was born in
amazing.
2020, so I love that.
There you go. So yeah,
COVID
good.
baby.
But I think this is awesome.
And I think a European leg of the tour was announced as well.
Yeah, and I really think it's great. He sounds so good, and I think it's like a double entendre of sorts because it's probably about being clean to some degree if you read the lyrics, but also maybe being free of a lot of the suffering that happened with Evan Rachel Wood and what she put him through. 'Cause I think she's a evil witch who cast a dark spell on everyone around her.
That makes
and,
sense.
And if you watch all her stuff, you know why. So I think he's kind of emerged from that. It sounds awesome.
Well, we'll have to get confirmation from Colonel Kurtz in the future whether she is or is not his
she's
secret-
going to support her dad today.
Yeah, I'm happy that they're having that reunion in Hershey
Yeah.
Park. Where you go with your parents, Hershey Park. Well, interesting. Why are you there?
Yeah.
I think it looks like I think that his label is the same label that does Sabaton too.
Yeah, it's Nuclear Blast.
Yeah, so that's a
it's like,
good-
It's like Slipknot, Slayer.
That's a good metal label.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
You really can't cancel Marilyn Manson. That's not possible.
Yeah.
No.
Well, he's got all of his fans. All his real fans are Gen X.
Yeah.
Like Gen X does not care.
yeah.
No.
They're not. They're a little checked out, it seems like, for the most part when it comes to politics, but they do not get upset the way millennials and boomers do.
Yeah. I see a lot of audience. He's got a lot of younger fans too that also don't care because he's got a lot of influence in a lot of the weird hip hop world. There's a weird crossover because a lot of big rappers were saying he was an influence. Speaking of Kanye,
Yep,
at
he
one
did
of the
this.
Kanye listening parties, he brought out Manson.
Yo, absolutely cursed collab lineup: Kanye, Marilyn Manson, and Travis Barker.
Wow, that would be cool. And honestly, not that far to the question.
I don't think it would be bad necessarily.
No, I think it'd be great. Kanye and Manson have collaborated before.
Yeah.
On Donda, and Kanye did. The rumors say he's never confirmed it, nor has Manson. But I think that Kanye did sample "Beautiful People" on Black Skinhead on Yeezus. But yeah, that'd be great. Travis Barker's one of the best drummers around.
Another rapper is in the news right now. Kamala Harris had Megan Thee Stallion perform
I'm never
at
going to call her Kamala.
her rally in
I just
Atlanta. And Megan Thee Stallion was facing some backlash for this because a lot of her Gen Z fans don't like Kamala because
Why?
she's not pro-Palestine enough.
Oh.
So Megan
Are
Thee
we
Stallion,
forgetting that I think even 2 years ago, people were still doing the whole defund the police thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
She's
kinda-
a cop.
She's a police
They
officer.
picked a new outrage issue.
We
so-
went from defund the police. We went from people saying abolish the police to those same people supporting a cop for president.
Well, to be
Yes.
fair, Black Lives Matter has been
True.
intellectually consistent in this and saying that they don't appreciate her being shoved in there as the nominee without winning a primary.
yeah, that one caught me off guard.
Despite her campaign.
There it is.
Thank you.
The sound has been delayed this week.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
The lights
about.
turn on, but it could be Shane's fault. Shane's fault.
Sorry.
So Megan Thee Stallion released a statement in response to the backlash saying, they was fake mad that I was popping it for Kamala. And I don't think they heard what she said. Kamala said she wants a ceasefire. Kamala said she supports women's rights. Kamala said she's tired of the high-ass gas prices. Kamala said, I'm for the people. Hotties for Harris.
I mean, has she given, I know that's not the point of this podcast, has she given like a reasonable explanation as to how she's going to bring down those gas prices? Is
No.
Is she going to make us energy independent again? to bring down
She
the
has not
trans folk.
provided a coherent response.
She's gonna
to
shoot at them the
literally
way her
any
former
question.
boyfriend shot at her.
Ever. Like,
She's the queen of word salad.
So we've got a felon for the thin blue line crowd, and the Democrats have a cop. That's perfect.
Yeah.
I thought Megan Thee Stallion was going to be her vice president pick.
That would be
You know,
good.
she still might be. There's
She
still
still could be,
time.
yeah.
So we could be surprised.
Look, it is what it is. This is exactly what I expect out of these things. It's not like when you do stuff like this, you're not pandering to the people who pay close attention. You're pandering to the people who pay passing attention, and they're not going to draw any comparison to what happened in 2020 because their brains just don't compute back that far. Not because they're bad people, but just because they don't think politically all the time.
Are you guys not excited for 4 years of we will work together and continue to work together
Yes.
to address these issues and to work together as we continue to work, operating from the new norms, rules, and engagements that will convene to work together. We will work on this together. You're not excited for 4 years?
That was giving me like Tyler Fisher playing Dylan
Yeah.
Mulvaney.
Yeah, that was terrifying.
That's how she talks.
I can't wait.
But
You're right.
yeah, the cackle is impressive.
All right, you're gonna have to tell everybody about Joshua Bassett.
Yeah, it's funny that this came up today in my feed, but if you weren't aware, Joshua Bassett is a former Disney child actor. And recently he went on Zach Sang's show to talk about his conversion to Christianity. This actually happened last year, and he lost a big portion of his fan base when he started talking about his faith. But interestingly enough, he said that this happened after he tripped on ayahuasca.
He's not the first person to say that, but isn't this also the guy that Good For You is about?
Oh, is it?
I don't know what that
I
is.
think it is. Yeah, Olivia Rodrigo used to be with Joshua Bassett. He then left her for Sabrina Carpenter.
I don't think that was, from what I understand, like, she ended the relationship.
Oh,
'Cause
really?
Yeah, like
Okay.
if I'm not I might be wrong
I thought
about that.
he left her for Sabrina Carpenter, and she wrote songs about Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah, I remember hearing, what I remember hearing, you might be right about this. What I remember hearing is that, like, there was something like he wanted to wait until she was 18 too for them to, like, continue dating.
But here's the thing,
because they're from California.
But
so
didn't he come out as gay?
I don't know.
He came out as something other than straight back in 2021. And then when he announced his baptism, a lot of fans were saying that he was getting conversion therapy. So that was a huge controversy for him. But let's just listen to what he had to say about his ayahuasca experience.
Also, somebody said earlier there was no sound when you played a video, so
Is it working?
be aware.
If I can hear it, it should be fine. But you said minute 14, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hold, please.
And maybe I won't go down that path, but basically, my soul was falling to the pits of hell, a hell I did not believe in. As I hit the ground in hell, I was surrounded by hundreds of thousands of demons who were mocking me and laughing at me and torturing me. And as I thought about the abuses that I experienced when I was a kid, they laughed and they mocked harder. Now, again, you might say, Josh, you were just hallucinating, you're on a thing. I'm telling you now, as much as I know that I am here right now breathing, standing before you, Zach Sang, and Dan, and I forget your name. Carlos, sorry. As real as I know that I'm here right now, I know that this was a real experience. So, I have the thought the devil's had a hold of me my whole life, and I literally see the devil, and he's laughing at me. And I start to see all these different things in my life. And eventually, I get up, and I go to the bathroom, and I realize, like, how horrific what I'm experiencing is, and that I need to get out of there, like, immediately. But I knew I couldn't leave because I was technically on this plant or whatever, and so they couldn't let me drive. But I was like, I'm just going to get out of this house and run as fast as I can. So I go out, I grab my keys, and the lady running the thing kind of goes and grabs my hand, and she goes, you know, I can't let you leave. And I literally see, like, this demon over her eyes, and I'm like, I see the devil in her eyes. Again, I don't care if you think I'm crazy. This is the truth. So I'm saying this to her. I'm like, I see the devil in your eyes. I lose my voice. I'm screaming. Thank God you didn't go with me on this. And eventually I go outside because she won't let me leave. So I'm going outside to kind of cool off. And I look up and I see Jesus in the sky. And I'm like, no way. I'm like, there's no way. And the first thought I had was my dad was right. And I was like, dude, what is going on right now? Like, it was the most insane experience of my life. And I was immediately filled with like a relief, but like a terror of, like, there's more to the spiritual world than I'm aware. And I think for a while.
So for the rest of this video, he talked about how he struggled with drug addiction for the last, like, 6 months after he went through this experience, and then eventually converted to Christianity afterwards. But What are your thoughts initially on this?
I'm happy for him if he really did come to Christ. I don't know anything about this guy.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I don't really care how he got here.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people in the comments are saying that this is disingenuous. They're angry about it. One person said, ugh, I don't care. Shut up. We get it. White boy does psychedelics once and realizes the world is bigger than just him. And then another person said, why are people on Twitter always so angry when someone talks about their connection with Jesus? And I think it's, reminding me that a lot of people, think that they don't believe in these things until they realize that a certain group of people does. And they express it with their hatred toward faith.
I can relate to the idea of experiencing straight up evil to understand what good, like capital G, good is. So when I heard him talking about that, or even seeing demons, which I know and I have seen in various ways, in terms of like, the pedophiles I was helping capture in Ohio and stuff like that, like there were straight up evil demons. So I know that, but I don't know what his heart is, but I'm happy for him and I want to believe him.
I just don't think that doing psychedelics, especially something as powerful as ayahuasca, needs to be anyone's path to faith.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely.
He
recommends against it in this video. To his credit, he tells people don't mess with this stuff. So that's a positive message that I don't think is going to get a lot of praise that it deserves. But he initially talked about coming to faith during an acceptance speech at the Kids' Choice Awards with like the Nickelodeon logo up in like front and center.
The slime really got to him.
And that's what really got people like heavily hating on this guy.
I want to say something. There are a lot of people here who are burdened, brokenhearted, and have been beaten down by life. And I'm here to tell you, for those of you who have lost hope, there is a very real God who loves you more than you will ever possibly know.
Is this at the Kids' Choice Awards?
His name is Dr. Pfizer, and you too can get on SSRIs and antidepressants.
That's what they want to hear, though.
My promise is peace, and my testimony is my healing.
My God.
Remember, forgive quickly, love freely, and walk courageously.
I'm shocked.
Love always wins in the end. Thank you very much. Have a great night. Mwah.
Yeah.
Okay, no, he's serious. He is dead serious.
Saying it in like the enemies behind enemy lines.
I mean, to get up on TV on Nickelodeon, like at the Kids' Choice Awards, and to say that, like,
Straight off like the Disney factory line, by the way.
You can say what you want about, whether or not like kids are the appropriate people to preach to, but everybody's parents are watching that with them.
That's his fan base, though.
But I think like that's not something you do if you're just, looking for some. That could kill his career.
Yeah.
Like, not necessarily because he's Christian,
no.
but because he did it when he did it, where he did it.
You're expected to give your lame platitudes towards God at award shows. That's actually the one time it's allowed.
That was not a lame platitude.
Not recent award shows.
That was not. That's not. I'd like to thank God and my family.
That's subjective.
That was different.
It's subjective to the person that says it, right? But you're given more leeway when you do it at these types of events.
I disagree because of the amount of hate that he got after he did that.
I mean, it might be different for everyone else, but like most celebrities do pay lip service to God in the same way that athletes do.
But what I mean is, like, when celebrities do it, it's frequently, I'd like to thank God and my family. I couldn't have done it.
Yeah.
I will say with athletes, you see something different. With athletes, it's usually a much more fervent, I could not have been here without Jesus Christ in my life.
Right.
And that came across more like that.
That was a testimony. He said it.
He said, that was a lot more than
How long was
that.
the actual acceptance speech? If it's 30 seconds at the end of a 2-minute acceptance speech, I just don't.
I think that was the entire thing. But we got a 20 from Wyatt Kaldenberg. He said, in PCC Discord, I posted a link of the theme song for the Christian ministry section of the Mickey Mouse Club. Proverbs, they're so true. After the theme, Jimmy would sing an original song based on the Bible. Wow. I would have never expected to hear this as like the origins of Disney. Like,
not to bring it back to Mary Poppins, the greatest movie ever made, but it is not just about a witch, but it's about family values. It's about bringing a family back together that's obsessed with materialism, and it rejects materialism in the end. Unlike the new Mary Poppins, which is straight up trash. Don't get me started.
Are you
There's
gonna
a new
watch,
Mary Poppins.
That was from like a few years ago with I forget. She wasn't even a bad Mary Poppins, but the story was horrible because they literally inverted the meaning.
It? I don't know. It wasn't Anne Hathaway, was it?
No. She would have been a good one though. But
that's like a perfect movie. It's a perfect kids movie.
Perfect movie. But they totally inverted the idea of materialism in that movie, which is, they reject it in the end of the first one.
There was such whimsy to it. It was such a good whimsical film for kids.
You can't do whimsy.
Real
these
quick,
days.
I got a message from Kurtz. I told her that she is in fact Brian Warner's daughter.
Yeah.
And she did say that she's out there at Hershey Park fighting for her daddy's name.
Yes. All right.
Yes, Colonel Kurtz.
All right. You're gonna have to tell everybody just what's going on with all the celebrities and all of the black eyes.
Yeah, so this came up last time Aidan was here on the show. We were talking about the discussion of Hollywood humiliation rituals.
This was new to me. I had never heard this.
The way that oftentimes politicians, public figures, celebrities show up in the public with black eyes or bruises on their bodies that sometimes go explained or unexplained. The most recent example, literally from just today, is Sharon Stone. She posted a picture on her Instagram where she clearly has a very gnarly black eye. No explanation was given. And most of the comments were saying, Black Eye Club, we see you, another member of the Black Eye Club, some initiation, eh? Okay, all of these people were saying this is a ritual initiation that she's gone through to make it into some higher echelon of
She's
the
like
secret
60
society
gazillion years
in Hollywood.
old. Like, she should have been in part of this echelon 20 years ago.
Right, she's 66 years old. I think it would take you, why would it take you that long to...
Did you say 66?
She's
That's 33
66.
times 2.
God, here we go.
I knew I was going to get him with that one.
So now, after all of these comments flooded in with concern for her and what possibly happened, she decided to post an explanation.
So it's like everybody who ends up at a battered women's shelter part of the Illuminati then. I don't know.
Didn't you know that?
Yes.
That's why they're all, in that great position.
Yeah.
Do they all have left
That's why they're all
eyes?
living the life.
Lisa Left Eye Lopez?
Yeah.
I love how it's like there are a million different possible explanations for how a 66-year-old woman could end up with a black eye, and they immediately went to the least probable one.
Well, let's look at her explanation.
I think this is part of the pentabarf, honestly.
Yeah, this is the pentabarf.
Here we go. Let's listen to the video.
I've been in so many hotels in so many countries that I got up in the middle of the night to pee and didn't know where I was and smacked my face on the marble. No, nobody did anything to me. And yes, I'm just fine and I'm having a great time. And I'm being welcomed very beautifully on my trip everywhere that I've gone.
She's lying. She's lying. Was she running to the bathroom at breakneck speed?
And just her left eye?
She's definitely lying about how it happened.
Yes.
But also...
She shows it here.
Having just the greatest time.
She shows what, the
And
video? Oh, because she has, that's the revelation.
Did she jump into like a fist on the wall? Like,
I don't know.
Like, do you have to say
Wouldn't
marble?
it hurt your nose
Yes,
if you
it would-
fell
it would
into
go
your
here.
face?
I think she probably got punched in the eye.
I don't know, but
I don't know
and
why.
it's what I told
Great
Mary was,
question.
I love the idea. Okay, so if
Tom Cruise?
if I'm to buy this as completely true, right? What I like the idea of is that there's a guy. I imagine him as tall as Slender Man, but really buff. And the Illuminati just sends him out to random people to punch in the face, and that's his whole job, right?
Yeah, obviously.
They get a call, and he has some demonic saying that he whispers into the phone to them, and then they have to wait there for this guy to show up with a boxing glove on one hand, and then he just punches them in the face.
What do you make of all the, what did you take on all the pictures of celebrities who cover their left eye for different things? Is it just because it's aesthetics, or is there something darker to it?
So I don't think there's something like Illuminati related to it. Partially because the people who believe in the Illuminati is running everything. They can never explain where any of these symbols actually originated or how they relate back to what they believe in.
Right.
But when a celebrity comes out and the picture is like this, it goes viral because you have a whole bunch of idiots saying it's the Illuminati.
Right.
I think more often than not, these are just marketing things. I mean, the whole thing, I think all of it comes out of LaVeyan Satanism, from what I understand.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at all there's a lot of connections with Hollywood and him. What's the Haggerty?
Yeah,
Marissa Haggerty's mom hung out with him a lot.
LaVey is Taylor Swift's grandfather.
We know that too.
I'd be willing to say that's a Satanist thing, like LaVeyan Satanism.
That's an interesting take.
Sorry, Brewmaster Monk said, I started to believe in God after taking 2CE and feeling God's love come out of a tree. I've also been trapped in a time loop and my own personal hell after smoking K2. Drugs need to be respected. They are a double-edged sword.
Yeah, all my experiences with psychedelics were all bad.
I would say just no drugs.
Yes.
Not a double-edged sword. Although I understand I have 10 years of massive drug use, but not anymore. It's been a very long time, and I've experienced lots of bad stuff. I would urge against all of that for sure. But I like your point of it being Satan is possibly Aidan rather than the Illuminati.
Yeah.
But does it even matter if these people have a history to the symbols? Some of them just think it's evil, and then they just do it, and they're just performing evil to be evil.
And that's the thing is, I think that there's absolutely nothing to it? No, it's a little weird that it keeps happening because that doesn't make a ton of sense. Like as a marketing tool, I could maybe see it, but it must have become a marketing tool somehow. You see Anton LaVey making a lot of these same things. It could be that you had people trying to be edgy and capitalizing on the satanic panic. I wasn't around for all of this when it started. But I also think that one possibility is that you have, think about what Hollywood is. It's hedonism. It is debauchery. It's everything that we associate with quote unquote Satanism. Yeah. So I would not put it past a lot of Hollywood celebrities to consider themselves atheistic Satanists. Yeah. And basically that all of this is them kind of being coy about it. But there's a big difference between having a large amount of people in Hollywood be atheistic Satanists and what Discordianism, it was called Operation Mind. I don't know if I can curse. Operation Mind F. The whole goal of that was to use this whole Illuminati thing to make people think that there was a one world government running everything. And I think there is a considerable gap between this is a sign that the Illuminati are running everything and this is a sign that Hollywood has a Satanism problem.
So Brett just pulled up the image in the replies showing a bunch of examples. They show Charlie Rose, Obama, Pope Francis, Robert Downey Jr., John Kerry, George Bush, Kanye West,
not
Ben
all of these
Affleck.
are even just one or even the same eye. Like I would imagine that if it was
Ryan
something,
Gosling, Reese Witherspoon.
Are they not all left eyes?
I would imagine that the majority of them are, but not all of them. I would imagine if this was something ritualistic, it would have to be one eye and one eye only.
That's why I think it's more of a coy, you know, because it's never, it's always very tongue in cheek when you see it. It's always a lot of or they're super serious. It's never just a casual
Right. Yeah. It's weird.
Make of that what you will.
I also think
also there's going to be, because I just did that 3 times.
I was
there's absolutely going to be something.
Yeah.
That was me signaling to, the grand master of the secret shadow closet that I'm ready for the next initiation.
Yeah, because Candace Owens said that she used to do this hand gesture when she was talking, and people would point to her making this hand gesture and say that she was part of the Illuminati.
And now somehow she's going down the rabbit hole of becoming one of those people. It's incredible to watch.
There's a great Trevor Wallace comedy skit where he talks about being an entrepreneur, and basically all being an entrepreneur is just talking like this.
Yeah.
I did a show once and I did that, and then people in the comments he's Illuminati. I'm like,
it's proven.
My Lord.
Fact.
But I also
public speakers,
you can run from it all you want.
Use hand movements to regulate speech and tone and pace.
Right.
Right. It's used to do inflection and stuff like that. People who are really good at public speaking learn how to do that.
That's the other thing is that everybody you see out in public, whether a politician, a celebrity, those kinds of people, look at them and then watch your favorite big YouTuber. And you will see a massive difference between how they present themselves.
A lot of this stuff is low level if they're even doing it as a signal to something, because I also have a hard time believing that's just one evil cluster of people running. I think the evil transcends.
And a lot of it's media prep. It's how do you speak to an audience?
I was explaining to Mary, we can always tell which guests on here have had media training by how easy it is to pull stills of them, because they are able to smile in between sentences.
Right.
Right, because they're always did you see the thing? So when after the assassination attempt, Trump turns to do the fist, it's because he's WWE trained, right? He knows to turn to the hard cam and motion, right? That's exactly what you have to do. Also, there was the shot of him when he was watching the Biden address where he's turned at a 45-degree angle watching a TV, which is how exactly 0 people on planet Earth ever actually watch TV. But in WWE, they would always have the wrestlers turned while watching television so that you could both see them and see the TV.
It's amazing.
They also referred to it as a local medical facility, which is another WWE dog whistle, because they were never allowed. Vince McMahon banned the word hospital. You had to say local medical facility for some reason.
When you put the entirety of Trump's 2015 and onwards behavior into WWE terms, it makes so much more sense.
Perfect sense.
He's a natural entertainer.
He learned everything from Vince. He emerged from WWE as the president, basically.
And him and Linda are still on good terms. She was at the RNC, and Vince can't go there because he's catching cases left and right.
Yeah, he is. Imagine if Stone Cold and The Undertaker were now Secret Service. And they would just...
Bro, Hulk Hogan speaking at the GOP convention.
Another example.
I was so caught off guard by that. It was just such a break in decorum from what we've been used to our entire lives. I was beautiful. Like, oh, okay, we're admitting it. It's over. The theater's broken.
All the time. I say politics is just pro wrestling. If politicians is just Hollywood for ugly people, then it's what it is, right? Then politicians are really just pro wrestlers without the actual physical acumen.
100%.
Yep. All right, let's move on. What you guys think to see? Cringe or cute of the day? The cringe is really bad today, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's just do it and get it out of the way.
It felt appropriate for this episode too.
Let's do this one here, guys. So let's pull this up on screen. I remember seeing this the other day and I didn't watch it because I wanted to save it to watch on here. So here we go.
I think my most toxic trait is that I want to befriend Republicans so that they can have a trans friend. And then when they get pregnant or have a baby, I want them to invite me to the gender reveal party and convince them that being the way I became trans is like a witch came up to me, a transgender witch came up to me and like forced me to be transgender. And then I'm gonna like put my hand on the stomach before they pop the fucking balloon at the gender reveal party, and I'm gonna go, ah! Your baby is now transgender. I want to do it so bad. I want every old lady there to keel over and die, have a heart attack.
Wow.
That was very nice of you to say, lady.
That escalated.
I feel like this was an attempt at humor, and it was very poorly delivered.
Yeah. Okay. So
and it also wasn't very funny.
No stage presence and too many ums and ahs in the delivery. Like you can and ah during a podcast. You can't and ah when you're delivering some type of
She'd
joke.
get destroyed on Kill Tony.
Yeah.
Oh. Be gone.
Absolutely. Not nearly as interesting as you think you are. Okay. Now we have cute, right?
Yes. Let's do some cute of the day.
Oh, I thought that was the cute.
No. This is from Cookie Dine. It says Coco anxiously watches the dog below.
Aww.
That is a very cute cat.
I love it.
That is a very cute cat. Let's do one more.
It's a cat from hell.
Yes, from hell. There was a black cat today. Okay, so toothless agent of chaos and taker of naps.
Aw. I love it.
It's adorable. It's
the
adorable.
toes are out.
All right, let's move on then. Let's get started. It's time to talk about the Olympic ceremony.
Yeah, so obviously it's been a minute since the opening ceremony for the Olympics, and we had all the time in the world to think about our opinions of it. Everyone has stated their take so far. But in case you missed it, we're going to recap what happened. So first off, they assembled a bunch of costumed performers and drag queens to essentially make a parody of The Last Supper. We can't show any of the videos because NBC is instantly copyright striking and demonetizing anyone who shows it, which is interesting because it's kind of selective enforcement who gets copyright strikes when they talk about this. But we can show some still images at least. In the center, in the place of Jesus, is a performer under the name Barbara Butch. And she is wearing a halo around her head. She is morbidly obese, doing a very sinister heart symbol with her hands.
Yeah, when I saw that, I said, it's the demonic nature of the idea of inclusivity in 2024. It means something very different than it used to.
I didn't realize there was a kid in this.
Yes.
There are, children present for the performances. They had a bunch of dancing drag queens as well as children accompanied right next to them. One of them even had exposed genitals, I believe.
Yeah, I unfortunately saw that on Twitter. Yeah. I don't want that pulling up.
So I believe that one, I looked at that one. It looks like it was just a tear in his tights.
I have to agree.
We can only hope.
I mean,
I understand why people thought that because when you screenshot it in 480p, it's going to look like that. But there were some higher quality
It's the
images.
one time I will agree with the Krasensteins.
So
when they shared it, and I was like, no. And I'm like, I think that part is right. The rest is obviously demonic. You don't need to add extra stuff to make it demonic.
I'm going to get so much flack for this one. I think it's possible that it actually was not intended to be the Last Supper.
Interesting.
By whoever initially designed it.
Right.
That's
But
actually what they
obviously,
right.
It was interpreted that way, not just by American Christians, which is the way the media tried to play it. The French media also reported that it was the Last Supper.
So a spokeswoman
That
for
godless
the
media
Paris
over there?
2024 ceremony said clearly there was never an intention to show disrespect to any religious group. If people have taken any offense, we are of course really sorry. And then Thomas Jolly, the artistic director of the ceremony, spoke out saying, again, that it was not intended as a parody. He said the idea was to do a big pagan party linked to the gods of Olympus. You'll never find in my work any desire to mock or denigrate anyone. I wanted a ceremony that brings people together, that reconciles, but also a ceremony that affirms our Republican values of liberty, equality, and fraternity. So he certainly denies that this was a parody of the Last Supper as well, but that is the way it was taken by a lot of people.
I think
And-
somebody in there.
Yeah,
Somebody
for
somebody
sure.
involved in that.
And I think that later on, the performer Barbara Butch made a statement where she admitted that it was a parody of The Last Supper, but we'll get to that. The one part that I wanted to bring attention to was this pale horse. Really, it's a robotic horse that they showed during the opening ceremony. And people were frequently citing this Bible verse from Revelation, chapter 6, verse 8. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. So you can see the image of the so-called pale horse that is actually a robotic horse here.
There's a 20 there.
Brewmaster Monk said, the point of Hollywood's symbolism is to spread paranoia and start a moral panic. Their real job is what happens in the tabloids. They influence the public through psyops. The more you idolize them, the more you are impacted. I generally agree with that.
Yes.
But I wanted to ask you, Aidan, what your interpretation of this? Is this actually intended as a reference
So,
to that
this-
verse in Revelation, or what is your...
This is wonderful for me because medieval historian and I
right.
study theology. That's a night. France was known as the military superpower of the Middle Ages, and they relied upon their heavy cavalry. This is just paying. That is clearly a knight on horseback. This is paying homage to France's history as a medieval military superpower.
Interesting.
As for the horse thing, this is a classic case of people taking one verse out of context. And in fact, taking an entire chapter out of context, because the entirety of the book of Revelation, with a select few examples, is symbolic language. There is not a pale horse is not going to be a literal single one guy on a pale horse. This has led to people during the invasion by the Huns, the invasion by the Mongols, Americans on the Western Plains meeting the Comanche. You have had every single time there is a horsebound culture that has swept through an area. If there are Christians there, they've gone, oh my God, it's the apocalypse, it's the end times, which is understandable.
Right.
It is understandable why you might see things that
There's
way.
a 20.
We got a
But-
20 from Nate real quick. He said, I don't want to be mean, but if you think that wasn't intentional, that's some smooth brain-ish.
I think it wasn't intentional by the designer, the original designer.
Thomas Jolly, you
Yeah.
mean? Okay. Well, I
But
guess...
just to quickly on this, I'm trying to be a quicker version of myself here.
Go ahead.
It's important
Go ahead.
to note that there are, first of all, 3 other horsemen. They are we first have the white horse, and its rider had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he came out conquering it to conquer. Second one is red. Its rider is permitted to take peace from the earth so that people should slay one another, and he was given a great sword. The third seal is a black horse, and it is a pair of scales, and he says specific things. A quart of wheat for a denarius. Sorry, not necessarily him, but I heard what seemed to be a voice in the midst of the 4 living creatures saying, a quart of wheat for a denarius and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil and wine. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try and live interpret Revelation, because that's how you get people who think that the world is going to end in 3 years, every 2 years. But there's clearly more to it than just the pale horse. Also, the pale horse is the last horse. Where are the rest of the horses? And most importantly, this also ties back to Zechariah chapter 6. And that one reads, "Again, I lifted my eyes and saw, and behold, 4 chariots."
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
My problem with all of this is that when I see that someone is an LGBTQ activist, I automatically tie that most of the time to a lot of anti-religious views because they take great issue with the Catholic Church.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm not willing to give them the benefit of the doubt if they say that it wasn't intentional.
The Last Supper thing, I could see either way.
Right.
The horse,
Well,
however.
as for the Last Supper thing, Barbara Butch, the performer who was in the center of that part of the ceremony, posted a picture of it on her Instagram story, and she clarified that it was, at least in her mind, intentional. She said, "I see people getting indignant about this. I would like to know if they were also indignant when Nintendo did it." And they posted a photo that was from Nintendo of Mario in the position of Jesus at the Last Supper. And then when Star Wars did it as well. So she posted other examples, basically saying that she believed it was an intentional parody of the Last Supper.
The problem is,
And that's all bad.
The idea is that activists in her particular world do have an issue with the Catholic Church, whereas Nintendo, I mean, maybe they do, but I've never heard anything about Nintendo having a,
Also, Pokemon isn't like directly, explicitly outlawed by the Bible the way that dressing in the clothes of the opposite gender is. Right. Nobody take this to be my personal opinions on anything. I'm just saying what the Bible says.
I got another 20 to read from Nate. He said, "Aidan, I love your content, love Lore Lodge. That was 100% mocking the Last Supper. I have no idea about the horse thing."
Do you think it's possible that they...
At first, I was 100% there, too. I was like, this is mockery of the Last Supper.
When it comes to the horse, though, do you think it's possible that it's almost a double entendre with that as well, where they know it's a knight, but also we know they're gonna interpret this as a horse, as the pale horse?
So it could be. I could see that.
And that if they did 4 horses, it's too obvious because they're trying to like hide all these things.
Yeah,
but
I could. Yeah, again, I mean, I could. I guess the difference there is I'm willing to have different opinions between was this intended to be perceived in a certain way versus should this be perceived in a certain way in a theological context.
Right.
That is not the pale horse of Revelation in terms of the actual world we live in. This is not a herald of the end times. I don't even think this is necessarily trying to bring in the end times.
Even if all of this was intentional, that wouldn't necessarily mean
that's my main point here.
That it's of like eschatological importance for Christians.
That's
the main point I'm trying to make here.
Are there people that think that this is the actual symbol of the actual
some
horse?
people were saying that, yes.
Oh my goodness,
but according
that's ridiculous.
to Thomas Jolly, the artistic director of the ceremony, he said he presented an artistic staging designed to be inclusive and representative of France, declaring above all, "I want this ceremony to include everyone. We must all celebrate this diversity."
Yeah,
so it was
who
all
agrees with me.
It was all, for him at least, so he claims, a big celebration of France's diversity. But obviously Christians and a lot of non-Christians as well took it an entirely different way. And I saw that Bishop Barron even posted a response video to this entire situation, kind of telling Christians what his thoughts are.
This is Bishop Barron. You know, just a few days ago I was in Indianapolis for the marvelous celebration of the Eucharistic Congress. 50,000 Catholics coming together to worship the Lord and celebrate the real presence of Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament. So I come from that experience and I come home and, you know, I love the Olympics, so I turn on the opening ceremonies of the Olympics. What do I see now? And it's in Paris, France, a city I love. I spent 3 years as a doctoral student there. What do I see but this gross mockery of the Last Supper? And I won't describe it any further. Just go online. It's gone viral. You can see it. But this, France felt evidently, as it's trying to put its best cultural foot forward, the right thing to do is to mock this very central moment in Christianity where Jesus, at his Last Supper, gives his body and blood in anticipation of the cross. And so it's presented, though, as this gross, sort of flippant mockery. France, which used to be called the eldest daughter of the church, Paris, that gave us, Thomas Aquinas taught there, and Vincent de Paul was there, King Louis IX, St. Louis, France that sent Catholic missionaries all over the world. France, whose culture, and I mean the honoring of the individual and of human rights and of freedom is grounded very much in Christianity. Felt the right thing to do was to mock the Christian faith. You know, a question I would pose, we all know the answer to it. Would they ever have dared mock Islam in a similar way? Would they ever have dreamed of mocking in this gross, public way a scene from the Quran? As I say, we all know the answer to that. I think, folks, what's interesting here is this deeply secularist postmodern society knows who its enemy is. They're naming it, and we should believe them. They're telling us who they are. We should believe them. But furthermore, we Christians, we Catholics should not be sheepish. We should resist. We should make our voices heard.
Okay.
So yeah, that was, obviously, in my personal opinion, I think it was intentional, the way that it was designed, and I think that you shouldn't see this as a humiliating moment. I think it's humiliating for them, and I think it's sad for France also that if this was intentional, which again I believe it is, they're openly forsaking a huge part of their cultural heritage, which is Catholicism.
It's the same city that told us Notre Dame was an accident. I think it's arson.
Yeah,
I have to agree with that one.
There's a lot of theories about that.
I want to say
they had 800 some churches burned that year.
It's a little weird. And there's a lot happening in this country. Like there was a giant church that just burnt down.
I also did not appreciate the disrespect that they showed to Marie Antoinette. I didn't like that.
Actually, I did
I'm
kind
totally
of
down with that one.
I did like that part, Mary. That Gojira is an awesome band.
I don't think she deserves that.
Of course you say that, Mary. The Marie Antoinette of pop culture crisis.
I'm actually just a monarchist. But now, after all of the backlash, Barbara Butch, the performer who was in the center of that
George
scene,
Bush's mother?
Yes. Yeah, George Bush's mother.
George Bush's mother.
She is now filing a lawsuit against some of her critics. This says...
Was it a lawsuit or a complaint? It's the first time I've ever heard the term grossophobic.
This says since the opening ceremony...
Yes, I know. I learned that now.
This says since the opening ceremony, Barbara Butch has been a target of an extremely violent campaign of cyber harassment and defamation.
Here's that word
again. She has been threatened with death, torture, and R-word, and has also been the target of numerous anti-Semitic, homophobic, sexist, and grossophobic insults.
Everything.
All of that...
I don't know what grossophobic
using
means.
the term violent there just makes me immediately just completely disregard it because it isn't violent. There have been there's no physicality here.
The root of the term gross is large.
It's just a word for fat.
Well, that's what happens every time my gross pay goes down and every time I pay taxes.
This says Barbara Butch condemns this vile hatred directed at her, what she represents and what she stands for. Indeed, her commitments and personal values of benevolence, inclusivity, and love for others have always been at the heart of her artistic project, promoting festivities for all regardless of age, sexual orientation, origin, religion, or gender. She is today filing several complaints against these acts, whether committed by French nationals or foreigners, and intends to prosecute anyone who tries to intimidate her in the future. That is a statement from her attorney.
She said while castrating children.
I mean, good luck with that in American courts, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, we have literal laws against suing people, not suing people, but we have laws that say that you can say these things.
She makes me want to pentabarf. I'm going to try to say that word as much as I can today. Thank you, Aidan.
The cry bullying is, I think, the worst part. Because, you lash out at these people, Christians, who you reliably know are not going to violently lash out back. Right. And then you cry as if you're the victim.
Yeah, that is the one thing is like the retaliation that I saw, there was definitely some over the top things that were said, but a lot of the retaliation I saw from the most people was just, hey, that wasn't cool. Like I feel a little slighted. This is the Olympics. It's supposed to be about unity. Why are we doing this? Yep. And then you have a few people who obviously took it really far. Yeah. But the main reaction I saw was just kind of quiet, really, guys?
I wasn't surprised.
Me neither.
Well,
I haven't watched. I boycott France.
Are we surprised by any of this anymore? This happens so frequently.
The ceremony was just a Lil Nas X video.
Right.
It's just what's been going on for years.
I saw it and I was
Lil Nas X video would have been entertaining at least.
Ooh, wow. Hot take.
Yeah,
You haven't vibed to Old Town Road at least a little bit.
That was the beginning of them trying to take your kids away.
I think Lil Nas X gets. I feel like he just kind of stumbled into all of this. I feel bad for the
that's
guy.
a plant who was there to destroy the innocence of children. Because remember, he toured all the
He went
libraries
to all of
and
these
schools,
schools
and then he went so far like Jojo Siwa. He was pre Jojo Siwa.
Yeah, I guess.
And then that's what happens.
Unlike Jojo Siwa, he actually does have talent.
He
does have talent.
He had. I was willing to vibe with it until the lap dancing on Satan.
Well, again,
I was like,
when
that might be a little too on the nose.
That was
buddy.
even unsurprising to me when he was doing that. The
Yeah.
Chappelle bit about him is the best. Is that we're all living in his dream? Because like, imagine this guy he's become Lil Nas X. Like your ass as a child. What do you want to be up? He goes, I want to be Lil Nas X. What's that? And here you go. On top of all that though, I'm not surprised. I do wish Christians would just start making better art.
Yeah.
And then just be like, just reject all this. Don't boycott it. Like don't watch it. It's ridiculous. Don't tune in.
Well,
just do something better.
That's a great idea.
The problem is that art today, as it's consumed, is done through corporate
Art
entities.
today is dead.
As it's done today is done through corporate entities. So
Yeah.
the good Catholic or Christian art that's going to get made will not be filtered through the corporate entities that can help you reach a
Such as
a larger...
Exemplum, right?
Yes,
From Paul
exactly.
Blart.
Exemplum was a fantastic film, which you can watch. I believe it's on Tubi still and stuff, but he made it himself for like $9,000. But unfortunately, for that movie to gain the cultural relevance that it deserves, it needs to be seen in a theater. I think there will be a massive
turnaround in art and music and everything with Christianity. I mean, go back to Kanye. Look what he was doing before. He's where he's at now, which is anti-Christian in my opinion. He was doing amazing things with Christianity. That new Marilyn Manson song. I mean, look in the video. There's rebirth imagery. There's a crucifix. There's a cross. He's got a book for mass. I don't know where he's at religious-wise these days. But I think there's something there. It's a kind of a hopeful
Marilyn
image.
Manson became Christian.
I wouldn't be surprised.
That would be absolutely
I wouldn't be
insane.
surprised. And there's also there's death metal bands like the band Cultist. I love them. That's a Christian death metal band. They're amazing. I think there's gonna be like a real change in the near
especially with YouTube.
Let's go to Super Chats.
All right, let's read a few of these Super Chats. Shane H. Wilder said, first off, we got a 20 from Trish Berry. She said, howdy all, great episode, Mary and Brett. Shane and Aidan are both top-notch storytellers. Lots of laughter and blessings.
Way better than that creepy lady with the creepy fat lady talking about going to gender reveal parties. Look, I'm in awe a lot, but I don't tell a lot of stories, okay? I don't tell a lot of stories.
Shane H. Wilder said, I trust our resident podcastress, Mary, brought enough holy water for Special Agents Dasovic, Mattis, and Cashman. Remember, the truth is out there. Yeah, no holy water today, just because I don't want to mess up our computers, but yeah, definitely have a lot at home. DCNC said, I saw a cloud today. Pretty sure it was a real one.
We have to see some pictures. Please send them.
We need proof.
ShaneCashman@scanner.com.
Let's do one more.
Shane H. Wilder said, press X to doubt DCNC.
Let's hold off on the rest. It's time to inform everybody who doesn't know just who the hell Loeb is.
Yeah, so I really wanted to get a chance to talk about this the last time Aidan was here. But it's time to introduce all of you to possibly the first ever demon or cryptid that reared its ugly head using artificial intelligence models. This originated from a Swedish artist, Steph Swanson, who actually back in 2022 wrote a whole Twitter thread about her discovery of this demon in AI who she calls Loeb.
This is just
Loab.
I'm sorry, but this is just Ozzy Osbourne without makeup on.
I definitely see it.
Oh my God, it kind of is, isn't
I see
it?
the resemblance. So this discovery was made when Steph Swanson put in a negative prompt to one of these AI text to image models that for some reason she doesn't want to disclose which one it was. She put in a negative prompt for Marlon Brando. So essentially she requested the opposite of an image of Marlon Brando. And then she requested the opposite of what it spat out at her. And suddenly images of this AI cryptid or demon Loeb started showing up. She said, I wondered, is that the opposite of the logo in turn going to be a picture of Marlon Brando? I received these off-putting images, all of the same devastated-looking older woman with defined triangles of rosacea on her cheeks. And as she continued putting in more and more prompts crossbreeding these images, Loeb continued appearing further and further down the line, even from images that didn't have lobe in it.
This looks like it's going to be the guy who sings somebody that I used to know.
A little bit, yeah.
Is that where he went?
What really interests me?
Yeah.
What really interests me about the Go Jay? Oh my God. What really interests me is how consistent it is. Is
This
that you
says-
don't usually see AI produce results this consistently, even with the same prompts. Like
It says, regardless of how much distortion they added to the prompts to try to remove lobe, they speculated the latent space region of the AI map that lobe is located in addition to being near gruesome imagery, must be isolated enough that any combinations with other images could only use lobe from her area and no related images due to its isolation. And after enough crossbreeding of images and dilution attempts, Swanson was able to eventually generate images without lobe, but found that crossbreeding those diluted images would also eventually lead to another version of lobe reappearing in the resulting images. So it's basically a cryptid
Yeah.
in the AI world.
Do you believe her story?
Do you think that she's...
I don't know.
It's not trustworthy?
It's a great
I mean-
bit of storytelling.
It's a great story.
If it's not true,
Yeah.
it's a fantastic bit of storytelling that plays heavily on a lot of the fears that people have of what's going on with the outgrowth of AI
I do
technology.
think AI is demonic. I don't mess with it ever.
it seems like I will say I do get some of the like analog horror vibes from it. I don't know if you guys have watched like if you're you'd love it.
What is it?
Analog horror. It's a genre.
Okay.
You'd absolutely
I don't know about
love it.
All right, I'm looking it
but
up.
it was in I'd say it started cropping up in the late 2000s on the late aughts on YouTube primarily, and you had things like one of the first ones I saw was Marble Hornets, and that was kind of based off the whole Slender Man thing.
Yeah.
But
So,
what
like,
it was
creepypasta?
it was kind of like taking creepypastas and found footage and throwing them together.
Is this like the stuff where there's a person in a scary warehouse and they go through different rooms and it looks like they're trapped in there? There's like a whole series of it. I can't remember that person's name.
The back rooms?
The back rooms, maybe.
So
that's
the back
it.
rooms
Yeah.
would be if you were
I have
the
seen
term
that.
analog horror comes from the cameras.
Yeah.
So the idea that you're using either analog or early digital cameras, you're filming everything. It's all found footage style.
Okay.
Or it's at least stylized to look like it's sort of 90s, early 2000s vintage.
That's cool.
So it's a cool genre. There's a lot of great stuff. There's a lot of not so great stuff. But like it's bad. There's also some stuff
said
out there.
Marble
but
Hornets?
Marble Hornets is, in my opinion, one of the best.
All right.
And it's kind of characterized by this like it's just unsettling. There's rarely jump scares. Sometimes there are, but it relies upon the psychological aspect of horror and getting into your head, and you know something's not right. You just can't put your finger on what it is, and it's slowly revealed to you throughout the story.
Oh, cool.
So that's kind of what I get with this, a new form of analog horror. You know, these AI creations, like it could easily just be a story that they have a prompt that returns images like this. They adjust it just enough, and it's actually the inverse of what they're saying it is.
Right.
At the same time, it could not be.
It could also be
Just
very true.
create
Yeah.
the images and then write the story around it if you're a gifted enough writer.
Which might have been what happened. Somebody
Yeah.
may have gone, "Oh, wait, this
Yeah.
AI thing is cool. What if
Right.
I wrote a story about one that generated itself and was persistent?"
The most gifted, the people who are going to benefit the most from this episode. I showed you the trailer the other day for the movie Subservience that's coming out with Megan Fox, where she plays like a piece of AI that seduces a husband, and then it balloons into this end of the world storytelling that's extremely boring and predictable. But the problem is there are good stories that can be written around this that just haven't made it to to script yet, because Hollywood's only gonna appeal to the most derivative and boring of these types of productions. The best stuff that you're going to see written about this stuff will be these types of things that are done that become internet folklore before they ever make it. Like eventually there probably will be a movie made by A24 will end up making a stupid movie about this.
About lobe.
Well,
Yes.
Yeah.
Back in like 2006 or so, this term appeared on the internet, Fleshgate, which was, if you look at the terminology, Fleshgate, skin walk.
I want to address a super. I
Yeah.
want to address a
that's
super chat here. Shane H. Wilder says Archive 81 was a great analog horror. That would have been true if it wasn't so damn boring from start to finish.
So you were saying the Fleshgate?
Yeah, so Fleshgate, skin walk, in
Yeah.
my opinion, that's where the terminology comes from. But the reason I bring it up is like 20 years ago, that hit the internet, and now we're working on a movie about it. Like we have taken that piece of internet folklore and that Hollywood, for God knows what reason, hasn't touched.
Huh.
Because it's such a cool monster. It's something that can like get inside your head and convince you that it's always been there.
Oh, that's
like
cool.
it gives you fake memories. It appears as a person, and then it picks you off one by one.
Sweet.
Really cool monster. Really cool concept. No real, like a little bit of lore behind it, but really not that much. Hollywood won't touch it because it's not a guaranteed sell.
Right.
So it took 20 years, but now you have YouTubers who are making movies. Like
That's awesome.
Wendigoon just did a movie about Stalker, the Stalker series. We're doing a movie about the Fleshgate, where you've also got one on the like a Wendigo-like creature in the works.
That's awesome.
It's finally getting there,
The
but it had to be
X-Files
at
would have
this
done
point.
this.
Yeah.
If the X-Files had been created today and still had the spirit of the art that was there from the very beginning, where they took real swings and real misses on, like there's an episode about a chupacabra that's the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I still love it.
Supernatural did it too.
Exactly.
Up through like 2020, Supernatural was willing to touch it.
Supernatural, the X-Files in its early days would have been the shows that weren't anthologies, but they did have episode of the week, monster of the weeks that would have gone into this territory if it was still around now.
And Supernatural touched it. They have an episode on the Tall Man.
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
Slender Man. Like
The concept that I find far more compelling just from a storytelling perspective is not AI becoming sentient, but sentient creatures using AI as a vehicle to influence people. And I think if Loeb is an actual story and not just something that Steph Swanson is making up as a creative writing exercise, that could be what's going on here, especially because some of these images are actual jump scare material where Loeb emerges with images of deformed babies and extreme gore, borderline snuff images of dismembered, screaming children. Just some of the most horrible stuff imaginable.
In the Forbes article, the only comment says, "I thought it was Nancy Pelosi."
I kind of see it. I see that one too.
Yep.
Nancy Pelosi.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's the next movie
Now
you're
somebody
gonna
can
do.
somebody can write that right now.
Yeah.
And put it out there.
So people were just able to take this story and kind of run with it. But you know, my belief is that if demons are actively working in the world, the internet and new technologies of artificial intelligence have got to be some of their favorite ways to influence people, to deceive people and confuse people and divide them. So I do think that they are actively participating in mass media communications. They are actually mediating beings. Angels were created to, in a very real sense, mediate between God and human beings. So if they are in rebellion against God, they're still going to use the same tools, but for evil. So not only is social media part of that, but artificial intelligence almost certainly is a part of that. It gives them like the perfect plausible deniability for what they're doing.
Just wait till the demons crawl through your Neuralink.
Yeah.
Seriously, like how do people trust this stuff?
I mean, we're going to be getting into it even more when we talk about the way that false memories have been influenced by the internet.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And the amount of the ease in which you can plant a false memory on someone, especially if they're looking for it now. We've got a whole section here on videos that have been made, you know, faking Disney logos just to sow doubt in your brain. And more of that just kind of speaks to me about the idea that I think that most people have a lot of hubris as to how well their memory actually works and how conflated you actually get with things. It even came out when the Mr. Beast stuff was coming out and the kid said, "I don't remember these messages looking like this" in the Discord chat. And then he goes back and he looks at him again, and now he's got actual evidence to that. Now imagine what demons could do with that using technology.
That's why eyewitnesses aren't always reliable too.
Yeah, it's just funny how like all of these postmodern deconstructionist philosophies, they came about far before the internet, and the internet is actually the culmination of the idea that like knowledge isn't really possible, and that your individual experience of the world is the only real thing. So that's like the ultimate goal, I think, of demons who are active on the internet, is to actually make you think that everything is fake and there's no real solid ground beneath you. You can never know anything.
Me and Shane,
objectively true or false.
Shane talks about, you know, post reality all the time. I say post concern because like at a certain point you don't know what is real, so you just give up. And
like dead internet theory comes into this as well.
I think post concern is a consequence of post reality.
Exactly.
and both of those operate on the dead internet theory, right? And it accelerates the fractured realities.
If
that we're
dead
in.
internet theory is true, there are demons animating the corpses operating as zombies on social media who are
Yes.
interacting with us.
Now you're talking. It's a wasteland of dead bots, dead demon bots.
Seriously, though.
And paid bots from corporations and businesses.
Katy Perry bots. You're
I
right.
think people also massively overestimate the intelligence of the average person.
Yeah. Why is that? Is it because of solipsism?
So you follow me on Twitter.
Yep.
You've seen what I deal with on a daily
Yeah,
basis.
yeah.
All three of you follow me on Twitter. All three of you. All three of you know what I deal with on a daily basis. There are a lot of people out there who think about 20 years ago before social media.
Yeah.
In town, you had the guy who everybody knew was an idiot, but it was fine. It was whatever.
Right.
Now, the internet is a place where every town idiot can gather, and they do. And the problem with them is they're all on the left side of the Dunning-Kruger chart. They're all people who think they're much smarter than they are. And so when you have all of those people out there hyping each other up, you get an internet that is just slop.
Well,
constantly.
Imagine then astroturfing fools. And so then other people who might even be smart.
Can you believe
see
it?
that
They
there's
gave me a podcast. That's crazy.
But I've been trying to make the point for a few weeks now. On the right, you have all these people who are like, the Earth is flat and nothing's real, and they're morons.
Well,
and then on the left, you have all these people.
Well, we'll come back to it, Aidan.
And then on the left, we have all these people who are like, Trump didn't actually get shot at. That's fake.
I know.
Even though all of the evidence is against it, you just basically got two groups of people on both sides, which is proof that it's not one side is dumber than the other. It's that one side is usually less obvious about how stupid their stupid people
To
are.
bring it back to our episode together, when we did Inverted World, we talked about Alex Jones and all that stuff. I thought it was hilarious to see within minutes of the failed Trump assassination attempt, the left all of a sudden was questioning their own version of Sandy Hook. It was
Billions of
amazing.
dollars by doing that.
It doesn't matter, if you're on that side of the spectrum.
Yeah, but I agree with the dead internet thing too. Like, there's a ton of bots now. It's you go to any popular post. And it's on Twitter, and it's just at this point, it's just account. You muted this account. You've muted this account. You've muted this account. You've muted this account. Because it's all just like bots run by a farm in India that are constantly pushing content.
Because they're trying to control the way you perceive the narrative. And if they can make it seem like this thing's popular, then a lot of people who aren't that plugged in, like a lot of other people might be, will just believe it.
Well,
I also think that people like Matt Wallace, by the way, I'm going to name Matt Wallace specifically, are absolutely
What do you notice about
absolutely controlled opposition.
I will also add Mario Narfall to that, because I see a lot of reporting from him. Reporting, I'm putting in quotes. Some of it's fine.
Which side is he?
I have no idea, nor do I care. It's like, for one, the most recent one would be sharing the video of the Supreme Court being wrapped in fence, saying this is what's happening right now, which is 3 years old.
Yeah.
Right? And he just said that. My other one I talk about a lot, and this can transition to the Mandela effect happening in real time, the Mandela effect, is when the Pawn Star's son died.
Yeah.
And he reported on it, he used a picture of the son from the show, even though it wasn't the son from the show that died.
Gotcha.
Using the picture of the son from the show, knowing that people would be like, oh my goodness, that guy died? And then he deletes it, right? And everyone, so then that Mandela effect is created by everyone thinking that one son died, but it wasn't that son. I can't stand that stuff. And look, I'm not the authority of truth either, but like, these people are being promoted on the internet as your breaking news outlets. And promoted by the owner of Twitter.
What I was saying the other day is like, look, it's to a point now where I just don't care anymore. I can't bring myself to care, because you have to be consistently terminally online I took 1 week off of Twitter and got two things vastly wrong that would have easily been corrected if I just stayed on Twitter for 5 more minutes. But the problem is my job requires me to do that. And with most stories, I just can't bring myself to care anymore, because everybody who reports on anything, especially in the political sphere, is reporting on it from a political bias that's narrated towards a specific side. You can't get away from that. And that's fine. I just can't, that's their job. They're making their money off of it. It's your job as an informed citizen to know that is happening. The problem is I'm checked out. I can't bring myself to care, because I think of it's just all so tiresome that I can't do it anymore.
I get it.
So I agree with a lot of what you just said, but also the reason I said specifically that I think like Matt Wallace is like a psyop and controlled opposition is that man makes zero money off of Twitter. Every single tweet gets community noted. Every single one. He's making nothing off of Twitter.
Because his
and
crazy.
yet all he does all day.
Who's paying this guy?
Exactly. Who would
funny.
be paying a guy like Matt Wallace to constantly rile up people on the dumb side of the right? And at the same time, who's paying guys like what's the Majid something the Brooklyn Dad Defiant guy?
Yeah.
Who's somebody's paying those guys to rile up the dumb side of the left.
Do you think this is privatized or is it government?
Well, remember back after the 2016 election, it came out that Russia actually had been involved with Facebook, but it wasn't through their funding. They were setting up Facebook groups for both sides.
And what happened?
Agitating people.
Do you remember what happened with one of those? They showed up in public.
Yeah.
And they were Russia instigated both sides of the thing happening in real life. They started in the Facebook groups.
Exactly. So I think I don't even necessarily think it's Russia.
Oh no.
I think it's China doing this.
I think it's us.
It might be us too. But clearly somebody is paying people to say objectively moronic things.
Also
on Twitter.
Also, it could also
post 2012 and the Smith Modernization Act. That could be us.
It could be us. Yeah. It might even be beyond that. I've been thinking a lot about accelerationism, and I think it's accelerationists who don't have any political bias. Their only thing is they want to destroy. And so, like what Russia was doing, they just wanted to destroy. And, and there's an accelerationist in the country or across the world who just want to, like the New Zealand shooter. Remember his manifesto?
Yeah.
He listened to like someone on the right and on the left, and then people on both sides would be like, "See, he was your guy, but he was no one. He's an accelerationist."
And look at this Thomas Matthew Crooks guy.
Exactly.
Suddenly, the FBI comes out. Oh, he hated Jews, and then Gab is like, he also supported Biden.
He was also trans. He donated to Act Blue. Like, it's accelerationist
all over the place.
So those are perfect stories that explain. Like, if you go online and you start looking up information about this, and you wait, like this happens with stories that we cover, right? Like, if you wait 2 days, so much information has come out, and it's so fragmented amongst 10 to 12 different people who create content releasing information that I just give up. I don't care anymore because there's no through line that gives you a strong idea of what the story is unless you parse through page and page and page and page of information. That's fine if it's your job to disseminate the information. If you're the average everyday person, you're just going to check out and say, I don't care. Whether people like it or not, the average person doesn't want to discern information. They want to be told by a guy in a suit what is true.
And it used to be that the way it worked was all the investigative journalists on the ground went and grabbed all the information. They brought it to a writing team who wrote a monologue for a news anchor, and he gave you the story. Now that's, it's so much propaganda that's not even happening.
I would argue it was even biased back then. Like I was looking at
definitely
old interviews of I forget who they were from, CBS or NBC, going and interview JFK, and you can look at this on YouTube where they're in the Oval Office, I think, talking to JFK, giving him questions. At the end of the question, they're like, "Were you okay with that, Mr. President? Do you want to redo it?" Like giving him that grace and that time. That would never happen today.
Exactly. But what I've noticed today is, like, you go watch Walter Cronkite from years ago, and he just gives you the story. It's boring as hell. It is a very boring news broadcast. But as news media has become entertainment with Fox and MSNBC and CNN, now they're doing the exact same thing as all the on the ground journalists.
Independent media is not immune to that. It's
not at all.
Anything that's monetizable is likely to be corrupted by the need for further revenue.
That's why monetizing Twitter was one of the worst things in my opinion, because it turned every independent journalist into a basement TMZ person.
And now you've got and you watch Fox.
TMZ has more legitimate.
Honestly,
TMZ is getting legitimate.
Right now, we were talking about how they memory hold the assassination. The only place that seems to be consistently talking about it, at least it's TMZ. They're consistently doing updates on all of the information that comes out about it. They've got their biases. They're not big fans of Trump, but they are at least willing to report on this stuff.
Wow.
I think partially, like, news media in general becoming lower quality has also made TMZ look more like it's up to par.
They report a lot of exclusive findings as well.
They get crazy. They got the video of Diddy from 10 years ago that was on a hard drive somewhere, and they somehow got their hands on it.
Just waiting. You could also say maybe they're part of the Mockingbird media.
They got video from inside his house after it was raided as well. Like, nobody else has.
It is bizarre.
A lot of these people have less legitimacy than TMZ is all I'm trying to say. I will sim for TMZ.
What would you rather have? Is a capitalist who is willing willing to report on all sides of the aisle as long as it makes them money, or somebody who's party affiliated and only reports the stories that narratively
I want to
fit
see
them.
all of them.
That's the double-edged sword, because with Walter Cronkite, the way news was 50 years ago, 40 years ago, you were getting one, maybe two approved narratives.
And that's it.
Which isn't great, but at the same time, you were getting the full story all at once.
Yeah.
With the way it is now, you go and you watch a single Fox episode.
You don't know if you got the whole story back then.
Well,
But
you got
what I mean is you got faith that you believe that it was.
But what I mean is you got a however true it was, you got a coherent narrative.
Right.
Now you turn on Fox to watch one episode of one of their shows, and every 5 minutes it's a new topic that's barely been researched. Which is just Twitter.
Because they're trying to catch up with Twitter.
Yeah, and
which is yesterday, today's news.
That.
Yeah, I know.
If you're gonna give me that, at least don't make it news. Like, make it entertainment, because if you bill it as news, dumb people are gonna think that you're telling them the truth, not a story.
Yep. That's why I started calling it the reality buffet, because anything you want to be true, you can go find online. In the assassination attempt was a great example of it, because literally anything you wanted to be true, you could find online. Whether it was Trump staged it, 3 shooters, 2 shooters, 1 shooter, he teleported there, he was FBI, he was CIA, he was just a 20-year-old kid. Like, anything you want's up there.
All right, let's go to Super Chats.
Okay. DCNC said, it was pretty far away, right?
The cloud.
And he said, Aidan, can you give us the 3-paragraph version of the 411 thing?
Oh, missing 411?
I guess that's what he's referring to?
Yeah. So the idea behind it is that people go missing in national parks under mysterious circumstances in these cases are never solved or cannot be solved, or the way that they are explained doesn't make any sense. A lot of these cases are definitely weird. They're definitely out of the ordinary in terms of what happened and how difficult they are to solve. But for the most part, they are not as mysterious as the author of the series, David Paulides, portrays them to be. I'm actually very angry with him, and tomorrow I'm going to be shooting a video about why I'm so angry with him, because in this case, he completely ignored evidence of a child being horrifically abused. In order to make it seem more like Bigfoot did it.
Have you talked to him?
No. I've reached out to him a number of times. He's never returned any emails, any calls or anything. But yeah, the general gist of it is David Paulides came out with this series suggesting that people are going missing in the national parks. The National Park Service doesn't want anybody to know why. And being that he was a Bigfoot researcher before this and has routinely mentioned Bigfoot throughout the series, he's suggesting it's Bigfoot. Right. I initially was like, oh, this guy's onto something. And then as I started reviewing his cases, I was like, oh no. So if you want to get the more realistic story, I have it. If you want
does he say that?
He has it.
Does he explicitly say it's Bigfoot?
He never explicitly says it's Bigfoot. But because
you're looking at what he's done in the past.
He'll be like, tells the whole story.
Interesting.
No mention of Bigfoot, and then it's like, but somebody said they saw a large hairless bear carry off the child.
They're not hairless, though.
No, but Bigfoot would look like a rather hairless bear.
Okay.
So, but you get my point. He can't say it's Bigfoot.
Right.
Greg Duvier said, initiate order 666. Let's go.
Okay.
Shane H. Wilder said, I've got a tiny bottle of holy water around my neck with my crucifix. I'll douse the screen if things get too weird.
He made a joke last night because I said I made a tweet that said, other than all of the premarital sex, white collar crime, and cheating, the OC was a pretty heartwarming TV show. And then he's like, I'm with Mary about not liking sex on TV and stuff. I'm like, oh, I love all the stuff I just mentioned on the show. I'm just saying that, depending on who you are, I mean, edgy for 2003 is very different than edgy now.
I never watched that, but I remember the theme song being very good.
Yeah, it was Phantom Planet.
Phantom Planet.
Yeah.
Who's Jason Schwartzman?
Yeah,
That's his band,
the
right?
creator of the show, Josh, is it Schwartz or Schwartzman? He was the youngest showrunner in TV history. He was only 26 when he was put in charge of that show, and he wrote the show. He won some big award for writing in college, and he was like, he submitted it, won, and then found out he was too young, so he had to give the money back. So
why?
Wow.
Because he was a freshman, and you weren't allowed to win until you were a junior.
Wow.
That seems like the kind of thing you should be even more rewarded for.
So here's the thing.
Right.
I would recommend people go check the show out, because given all of the eat the rich of today that's out there in the world, it shows a bunch of rich people in an absolutely horrible light, but yet they're still somehow more endearing than the average person is
Does Mary recommend the OC?
I never watched it.
I do recommend. I mean, it may be the closest thing to a recommendation I can give you.
What about
given your?
Where's 90210 stand up?
I've never.
I watched 90210. I liked it.
I like 90210 back in the, I wasn't really allowed to watch
And
it though.
it kind of was wholesome in a way because it was made to like give teenagers a bunch of PSAs about all the things they shouldn't do.
Yeah, like they was flushing drugs down the toilet, you know, trying to help people get
But
clean.
unfortunately, making it all look cool and aspirational.
That's the thing. It's like
But they were like, "Don't do this."
All the and the story is basically just it's just Annie. But it's this kid who's poor who gets adopted by a rich family. Right? He's poor, grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, goes to jail, and the guy who gets him out is a bleeding heart, you know, guy who's he works as a public defender, but his wife works in real estate, and then they adopt him, and he gets to live in a beach house or in a.
Is this Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Yeah, basically, it's basically that. So let's do one more.
Cole GGGGL said, "Who's taking home the gold?" I can't read that word. Boxer 1 or Boxer 2? I think we already found out the answer to that.
Yes.
Drewish AF said, "Y'all have my favorite people on the show right now. Love you guys. Praise Jesus. I'll pray for Bert, Murney, Shaniqua, and Aladdin. God
Let's
bless."
go. All right.
I don't know who any of those people are, but thank you.
Let's talk about how Disney is now
Yeah.
implanting false memories.
I don't know if any of you guys in the chat are believers in the Mandela effect, but Disney is to blame for the most recent one that I saw people talking about. It relates to Disney's logo, where it comes up before the movie. I never was allowed to watch these movies, so I don't know from personal experience whether I remember this from my childhood. But this idea is, did Tinkerbell dot the I with her wand during the logo for Walt Disney Pictures? And some people say that they definitely remember this happening when they watched these movies as kids. But the internet says this is fake. And
Well,
based
it's
on
Google.
everything we know, this never actually happened. Disney did not release a video intro where Tinkerbell dots the I in the word Disney. Instead, people are likely combining several memories into one. And this is really the phenomenon of the Mandela effect, is mass amounts of people have quote unquote false memories.
It's the blue background one that they specifically remember seeing Tinkerbell dot
This
the
is
I.
what I remember, but I don't remember being the eye.
There are exactly right. So here's one that was also found, which is a DVD logo.
Okay.
This Disney DVD is enhanced with Disney's Fast Play. Your movie and a selection of...
I don't remember being the
This is
eye.
bringing back
You
so
are
many
going
memories
through all
right
of
now.
the archival footage today, Brett.
This one
Is this one the top of the tower?
I don't know
Or
if this
top of
one
the
is
castle?
real.
We don't know if any of these are real.
I don't know if this one is real.
There, she dots the D, not the I.
And then you've got this one here at the end of the August 28th, 1989 TV AM in. Okay, so here we go. The River Thames.
There she dots the I.
Disney just takes down our whole channel.
They're going to silence us for revealing the truth.
Walt Disney's frozen head right now
Yes.
is taking you guys down.
But if any of you guys are unfamiliar, the Mandela effect refers to a situation in which a large mass of people believes that an event occurred when it did not, or in a way that it did not. But the people who believe in the Mandela effect would take issue with that description. They
I
would
think
say
she
it
just-
actually did happen the way they remember, and that in reality, it was interdimensionally altered. in real time.
Tinkerbell hits you with the fairy dust.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. This is all part of the
So
spell.
the term originated because a lot of people, for some reason, remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison and multi-day coverage of his funeral, when in reality he died in 2013.
I've got this list from Very Well Mind of a bunch of the most famous ones.
Yep. There was Luke, I Am Your Father. That's one of the hugest ones in pop culture.
He's not exactly what he says.
Yep.
Another Disney one is
least in this
the
timeline.
evil queen in Snow White saying "Mirror, mirror on the wall." She said "magic mirror on the wall."
Oh,
in the
I'm
movie.
from a different timeline then.
I don't.
She said mirror, mirror
I don't
in my
agree with
childhood.
that one. Berenstain or Berenstain is one of the biggest ones.
And I was
Yeah,
pointing out-
that's the one that I
That is a weird one, right?
The cornucopia or lack thereof in the fruit of the loom.
The cornucopia has always been there.
No.
The cornucopia has always been in the picture.
And this is where a lot of the best agitators in the world are making their own. There were people that went and printed fake ones and then put them in thrift stores.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
So you can now have one, and you will be like, "Oh, I was right all along."
Yeah.
Really, it was just some dude in Dubuque,
That's why we don't
Iowa,
even-
who
we don't
had
even-
one printed just to fuck with you.
We don't even know those videos you just played are true.
Exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. So the one of the other ones was literally from a YouTube channel called Mandela FX.
Right.
So I did see one a while ago that was remember how the old Disney, like from the late 90s, early 2000s, had the From the Magic in Our Hearts with the epic soundtrack behind it.
Yeah.
There was like, I remember people being like, no, that was Disney, not DreamWorks. It was DreamWorks. Yeah. The thing is, Disney licensed it from DreamWorks.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of people who were like, no, it was definitely a Disney song. No, it was definitely a DreamWorks song. In reality, it was both. It was the opening, it was the overture for Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves with Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman.
Interesting.
So
but
I'm sure
Disney licensed it. So I think there might be some that are like
reasonable
this.
explanations for some of these.
Shazam with Sinbad when what they're thinking of is Kazam.
Yeah.
With Shaquille O'Neal.
I also wonder, like with Berenstain one, I haven't done any research into it. Is it possible that it was Berenstain in markets that might have not liked a certain ethnicity so much, and Berenstain in others might have been a different.
Well, that wouldn't
We got a
make sense 'cause mine
$20
all say
super
state.
chat from the Manic Mustache. He said, "Hey gang, happy Friday, but my mustache is taking offense to the guest calling the 90s vintage. Shane, please put the young boy in his place.
I was gonna let
when I said
Just realized my 30th, his reunion is this month. High school reunion is this month. Never mind, I am that old."
Just remember,
I meant it more in the sense of like a wine
When Aidan
vintage.
said it, he saw my heartbreak in my eyes. I was like, oh my God,
It was
vintage?
I was using it in the term of like a vintage, as in like a wine from the year, like of that vintage.
Sure, dude.
That's what I meant.
He saw me walk up here with a cane. I'm
And the
old. I
60s
get it.
I don't even know how old
The
you are.
60s
75.
The 60s would have been vintage to the 90s.
I know.
So,
I know.
I mean, think about it. Like, what is vintage? Isn't it like 30 years old?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I'm
so
old.
the 90s are.
The 90s are old. I hear
The mid-90s are
on
vintage.
old school rock stations.
This is-
Nirvana is.
Oh, that hurts me.
This is
Nirvana
one
is on
I
old
had never
stations.
seen. Pikachu's Black
I was born in the
Tail.
90s.
Yeah, one of the most famous examples of the Mandela effect is Sally Field's 1984 Oscar speech, where everyone remembered her saying, "You like me, you really like me." But supposedly, in reality, she said, "You like me right now, you like me." And a lot of people remember her last name at the same time being Fields instead of Field.
Oh, I also just remember it as Jim Carrey in The Mask when he goes, "You love me."
We got
You want
another.
to love me.
Well, that's
Exactly.
what it was referencing is
Yes.
the Mandela
Yeah,
effect.
exactly.
Pat the Plumber said Ed McMahon working for Publishers Clearinghouse.
That's another one too. People remember him with the big check, I
Yeah.
believe.
See,
like-
somebody says, isn't that from The Mask? See, Jim Carrey.
Exactly.
And what it also is it's 20, 30, 40 years of pop culture referencing previous pop culture,
Yeah.
which has only gotten worse.
Yes, that's it.
So as TV has gotten more uncreative, they've gotten more reliant on using pop culture references.
A lot of believers in the Mandela effect believe that possibly the culprit could be CERN and the Large Hadron Collider.
Yes, thank you.
And here is a piece of information that absolutely blew my mind when I learned about the Sally Field Oscar speech, Mandela effect, is that Sally Field's brother works at CERN.
All right, I'm out. It was a good show, everybody.
His name is
Happy
Rick
666.
Field.
I'm done.
He is, okay, Sally Field's brother is
later.
Rick Field, a particle physicist at CERN. It's rumored that CERN is responsible for the Mandela effect. And one of the most famous Mandela effects is his sister's Oscar speech.
Yes.
And subsequently, after the Large Hadron Collider went online, many people reported noticing anomalous changes in historical and pop culture events. And she is related to one of the particle physicists at CERN. When you look at how many times these two famous lines in her speech were quoted in jest, you have to wonder, how could so many people have gotten it wrong? Sally has been to CERN on at least one documented occasion to visit her brother Rick Field. We now have both Tom Hanks and Sally Field connected directly to CERN because Tom Hanks was also invited to CERN to turn on the Large Hadron Collider in 2009. But yeah, that's just
I do think
really weird.
I'd be noticing.
the Mandela effect could be a symptom of the human centipede of pop culture references that we see a lot of, and people like in real time, people were believing that Sarah Palin was saying things that in fact Tina Fey said as Sarah Palin, right? But I also believe that CERN keeps switching our timelines. So it's a mix of both these things.
Also, like, I really do think this is people have this infallible idea of what they think their memory actually is.
Yeah.
And they don't realize how malleable your brain is.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So nobody pointed out another one. It's if you build it, he will come, not if you build it, they will come, from Field of Dreams.
Oh, wow. Wait, which one is it? Which one is it?
It's if you build it, he will come. And I can literally hear it in my brain as they.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
But another part
Wait,
of
you're telling
that,
me it's he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
So are you guys believers in the Mandela effect now? Like,
I think both are possible. I think, like I was saying earlier with the Pawn Stars, there's a lot of people who will now misremember that the wrong son died because they saw the wrong thing. And so their memory, will go, and then one day we'll be like, oh, that was the wrong son. They'll be like, no, it wasn't. I saw the article.
Here.
But I also think CERN is screwing it up.
If you build it, he will come.
How do we know this is a real video, Brett?
Exactly. Well, it's from movieclips.com. I don't
care.
think movieclips.com is a great, stake in
How many
changing
subscribers
our
do they
memories.
have? Unless they're part of the Mandela, big Mandela,
I'm just saying the expert opinion is that people's memories are faulty. The opinion of the people is that reality is actually changing as we go on, and time is not linear. There are beings outside of time.
Well, that part is obviously true.
And that it is possible that your memory is completely correct. And in fact, what Sally Field said on that stage did change.
Yeah. I had to ask my wife while we were dating about all these Mandela effects to make sure we were from the same timeline before we could go any further. It's very important to me. I married someone who's from the same timeline.
One that really got me is, okay, what is the color chartreuse? Like, can you describe it?
Nope. I have no idea.
Okay, how about you, Aidan? Do you what is the color chartreuse?
It's green. It's a green, isn't it?
I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure it's a green, but everybody thinks it's a pink.
That's the thing. I was like, for years of my life, totally believed that the color chartreuse
Yeah, it's green.
was a like reddish magenta color. And then suddenly, this is one of the biggest Mandela effects. It's actually a lime green color.
Yeah. I remember,
I
only know
like,
this for that reason.
watching those shows you watch as a toddler where they teach you the colors, I remember it fully being pink.
It's the same color as Pentabarf.
If I remember correctly, that came up for me because it was like during a trivia. I think it was at a trivia night. Somebody was like, chartreuse is best described as this color, and everybody at our table was like, "Oh, pink."
See,
and then it was green, and I was like, "What?"
Everyone thinks
and I looked
it's
it up.
pink.
Yeah, because it
asked
feels
me-
like a pink.
It sounds a little
I'll tell
too
you
pinky. It sounds pinkish.
my logic was Mary asked me, I was like, first of all, I've never heard that word before in my life. But Chardonnay and Petrus are both wine stuff, right? So wine's typically red. So I said red.
Yeah, it's
which
an
is
herbal
close
liquor.
enough to pink.
Right. It's a fancy word. It sounds pink.
I think it's named. It looks like it might be named after because it was manufactured by Carthusians.
Oh, and by the way, from what I understand, there's somebody in the chat, and I just double checked it. If you build it, they will come was from Wayne's World 2.
Oh my God,
So-
that's fantastic.
There it is.
So a parody, right?
Again, referencing pop culture
Yeah.
in another piece of pop culture,
Yep.
which then just fractures your brain.
Which you would think that if they're going to write that into a script of a movie, they would make sure
Well,
that
no,
it's
it was
referencing
it was
correctly.
They're referencing different groups. So he's referencing, if I remember correctly, in Wayne's World 2, it's to get everybody to come to the
Right.
festival.
That's right. Yeah.
So
it's referencing it, but they're
But they didn't think
changing
they were
it.
changing it.
What do you mean?
They didn't think they were changing it. They thought that was the
Oh,
original
we don't know.
line.
No.
I think they were using it in
Wayne's World
context.
Wayne's World did it on purpose, right? They made it close to what it was originally, but changed it just a little bit for the people who
I
might
don't
get
think
the
they knew they
reference.
changed it. I think they thought it was the original line when they used it.
when they did it.
Because it's a Mandela
It's an
effect.
interesting thought.
That would be
I
an
can see both
interesting
ways.
thing to ask them. Yeah.
Let's call them up.
Think about all of the people who use Luke, I am your father, or some sort of reference to that in some form of pop culture. They probably don't even realize that
And at
that's
some
not the line.
point, the next Blu-ray edition of Star Wars will just make it.
Well,
Luke, I am your
we all
father.
know that George Lucas is just infamous for changing shit in his movie.
Right.
You can't even get the original version of Star Wars
Right.
anymore.
Like they'll start satisfying the Mandela effects.
It's his
and we're
fault.
Totally
That's
screwed
who
up.
did it. It was
Yeah.
George freaking Lucas.
That makes
All
sense.
right, drop your favorite Mandela effects in the chat.
Yes.
We're going to go to some super chats. Austin Brown said, your machine spirits sound unhappy. Did your tech priests use the wrong incense and oils today? Just venerate the God Emperor and all will be well.
I think that was a 40K reference.
I wouldn't know.
Maybe.
Corey Anderson said, why does Tim hire beautiful women and ugly men? Okay, that's rude. That's rude.
I like that.
Thank you.
Hey,
I'm gonna
I
put that
find
on a
Shane
shirt.
very attractive
Thank
in
you.
a platonic
Thank you.
masculine way.
Well, now we're both going to transition
And a little bit
just
of a
to spite
second.
you.
And how old?
I, however, am completely fine with being ugly, so thank you for that.
Marco said, beware of the mark of the beast. Oh, no, the mark of Mr. Beast. Sorry.
The mark of Mr. Beast?
Never mind.
That's fair.
Believe them when they tell you who they are.
That's right.
Bird Flu C. Williams said, breakdancing starts August 9th. Boys. Wait, what? I don't know what that
Baba Booey.
I don't know what that means. DCNC said, is Bitcoin Dad competing in the 60-plus division? Oh, for breakdancing at the Olympics?
Oh, yes, because this is the first year of...
That's a thing?
Yeah, breakdancing is in the Olympics this year.
That's kind of ridiculous. Red Snow said, sorry I'm late again, was praising Space King.
Well, thank you.
That's okay. Grofty said, you didn't hit the like button? Harum.
Yeah, you should do that quickly.
Shane H.
Tap it, though.
Wilder.
We don't smash it here. We gently tap it, politely.
Correct.
You always ask
Wilder
permission
said,
first.
Wait,
give it a
you got
little-
you got an actual demon on the show? Oh, never mind. It's just Aidan impersonating Kamala.
Yeah.
It was good.
Thank you.
Omega Red fan said, I like hell. It's nice.
Omega
this
Red,
a
is that a
demon
reference to?
super
Is
chat?
that a reference to X-Men?
Could be a very a nice demon super chat.
Shane H. Wilder said, forget black eyes. Why does Liam Neeson piss himself?
Oh,
We're asking the real question.
We've asked that quite. Like, there's like 5 to 10 photos out there of Liam Neeson leaving establishments with just piss on his
Is
pants.
it possible he
No.
just has chronic incontinence? Because that's just a
It's-
problem some people
That's
have.
what we're
He's filled?
thinking.
Then the man needs to wear black more.
But he's
And-
definitely not ashamed of it.
But he's just
wearing it
like
with
blue
pride.
jeans and not even dark blue.
Interesting.
It also
He's
it could.
destigmatizing incontinence.
So I have seen some things like I saw one. There's one celebrity who wears like the same outfit everywhere, so paparazzi can't get any meaningful photos of her. I do wonder if it's kind of like maybe
That'd be hilarious.
maybe a defense that people focus on the fact that he peed himself instead of where he was or who he was. Like maybe I don't know. It could be a diversionary tool.
I like
he
that.
just left a hotel after killing someone, and he's like, "How can I distract him?"
Can I block all the blood
Exactly.
on my hands?
I'm trying to think of a way that's not tragic, because that's just sad. Like I would just feel bad
He's
for him.
raising awareness about incontinence.
You know?
Okay. The Rumbling said Shane needs to do a podcast with Joe Rogan about drugs and religion. Joe's pod with Jordan Peterson seems pretty interesting about the subject.
Yeah. that'd
Well,
be
which
fun.
one? He's had Jordan Peterson on like a billion times.
Yeah. I think he was on recently.
Rhaegar Targaryen said it's a meme that on Joe Rogan, at some point in the conversation, it will be asserted that all the world's problems come from people not doing psychedelic drugs. It's Godwin's law, but with drugs.
So my one thing that I want to do is I want to get on Rogan for one sole purpose, which is I would like to ask him if he's ever tried something. Maybe go full ironic, ask him if he's ever tried DMT. But I want to find something weird, like you ever tried niacin? Like just
You ever tried aspirin?
flip it around on him.
Should we do Vitaly?
I just want to get ahead of it.
If you want to. Okay. Well, the last topic is a doozy.
Uh-oh.
So this kick streamer Vitaly is someone we've talked about on the show in the past. He is basically catching predators in real life and streaming it for his audience. And now he has started collaborating with actual celebrities who are joining him on his trips to catch predators. And I don't know if any of these videos are verifiably real or if he's staging a lot of these encounters, but they're basically torturing the alleged predators on stream for cash. And I don't hate the idea. I just really hope that the story concludes with these people facing legal consequences, not just being humiliated on the internet.
Yeah.
So first, Vitaly and Lil Pump shaved a child predator's head bald and then made him eat the hottest chip in the world.
Yeah.
That's how you're gonna be taking an ass in prison, boy.
Say sorry to the chat. The chat is mad right now. Say sorry, chat.
Say sorry, chat.
No, confident like a man. Just pretend there's no hot chip in your mouth. Sorry, chat.
Say sorry, chat.
Sorry, chat. Yeah. Good.
All right.
Can I please leave? Yeah, you can leave. You can leave.
Wait, he shouldn't leave. He should be arrested. If there's
Right, like, why are they letting him go?
If he's
Why did you come here
actually
with a knife? You wanted to kill her?
No, I always carry one.
Yeah, brother. I don't ever want to see you again. You gonna do this again? Hey, we're letting you go.
Hey,
You go to prison. Yeah.
You gotta let go. Listen.
See.
Water, please.
No, we don't want. No water.
Here, take your dick pics too. Oh, your dick pics. You brought dick pics too?
Mm-hmm.
Come here. Come here.
Understood. Get the fuck out of here, motherfucker.
So they're just letting this guy loose into the world after making money
Right.
off of torturing him, which, you know, I have
no problem with torturing
I don't have any
pedophiles,
problem
just-
with what they
Me neither.
did, but you know, if it's not staged,
I just think
right?
I just think they need to be put away.
Some people have claimed Vitaly says cops don't do shit, so he doesn't involve law enforcement.
Also
in
true.
These.
In the space I work in, I have to agree with that. I've seen
But at
more
least
cases
try.
of cops like being almost there and just getting bored and stopping than I
You
have
should at
cops
least
actually solving
try,
things.
though,
You should
right?
try. Like I love how Alex Rosen does
Yeah.
it. You know, I went out with him in Ohio. We spent like 2 or 3 days catching people. I mean, it's
So
this is
can
such
you,
a
can you like tell us
This does
about your
nothing.
experience?
So Alex, I Fight for Kids. If you don't know who that is, he sets up decoys and he catches these awful, demonic, evil predators, and they're young, typically not just young men, old men, young men from all walks of life. And we go out. When I went out with him, and the decoy walked into the yard expecting to meet the first person. This first man was someone who'd already been in jail for hurting a child for 10 years. Now is living by a school and was standing in his yard with his zipper open and thinking he was meeting a 12-year-old girl. The decoy was in fact 22 or 23, and put his arm around her, held her doll, and started walking away to a house with her to do things that were totally terrible. And so when he walks by us is when Alex swoops in with his crew. But Alex's thing is not so much, I mean, he'll talk some smack. Alex is not always the nicest, but his plan is typically get them to admit everything and then get the cops involved. Unfortunately, in certain states, it's different laws, and you have to have certain evidence on you at the time if you're for the bad person for the cops to actually do anything. But we had a few people arrested, and this guy works constantly. I think this is counterproductive as much as I love seeing people get tortured, if this in fact is a terrible human being. But, you know, Alex goes about in a way where these people can hopefully get off the street. And he's put away a lot of people, and some of them for like 30 years, 40 years. He was just in the news recently.
The disheartening thing about those stories is
Oh,
that
yeah.
so often the people he catches have already done prison time
So many,
for what they've
or have
done.
hurt their own children.
I was talking to my buddy today on the drive in, and we were both kind of agreement that like unlike most offenses, pedophilia, no matter what it is, should be 0 strikes. If it's violent,
exactly.
If it's violent, I have opinions I can't say on this show.
Exactly.
If it is non-violent, then I think you should be allowed to choose between either life in prison or chemical castration.
Yeah, and there's no rehabilitating these people.
No,
like other offenses. You know, like there's no world where this person like this could go to jail and come out and think we could accept you into public.
Yeah, no.
You're done. You're done.
I will say that I don't know, I haven't checked up on it in a while, but it was something that interested me a long time ago, was there was a town that was kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Criminal Minds actually did an episode that was based around this, but there was a town out in the middle of nowhere, kind of like, you know, not super, super isolated, but definitely its own thing, where it was entirely sex offenders. Because that way
Wow.
they weren't around everybody
They're
else.
just
Nobody else had to
sequestered
worry
off.
about
Just
them.
in pedophile exile. Is that the name of the show?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So they were able to have a community. So there was no desire, no necessity for them in order to experience human connection.
I get it, but
to
I don't
go
want
leave.
them to have any freedom.
But
Well, that's
now
the thing
that-
is they had, but these were, from my understanding, not necessarily child sex offenders. This was just in general.
Okay.
And it was basically people who couldn't be locked away permanently.
Right.
Because what they had done was, you know, again, like there are anything from you get caught peeing behind a dumpster and you're on the sex offender registry for 10 years, 15 years.
Right.
So, but the idea that, you know, the people who are not a danger to society, taking them and rather than locking them away forever, putting them somewhere they can't hurt anybody, or at the very least they're only hurting each other.
Right.
I think that's an interesting idea and an interesting concept.
Yeah, but now that the internet is kind of the primary mode they're
You'd have to
using
get rid of the
catch
internet.
these people, there's literally no way to sequester them off from the rest of society.
Yeah, you need signal jammers.
Fortunately, in this second clip from Vitali's stream, they are leading this predator to get arrested. And they have Akon there singing Locked Up.
Literally the most, like, random...
Akon's physically there?
Yes.
I kid
He's
you,
literally
bro.
there.
Dude, Lil Pump was in the last one. Did you say that? Lil Pump was in the last one?
No, see, here's the thing, though. I saw Lil Pump, and I was like, okay, yeah, that tracks.
Makes sense, yeah.
Akon, on the other
Akon has, like, 9
They also had The
kids.
Game on a recent one.
That's right.
Akon has, like, 9 kids from 9 different women or some crazy amount like that and talks about, like, Here we go.
Also, just really quickly, I do want to clarify something I just said, which is, like, I don't think child sex offenders should be allowed to live in places like that. I think those people should be put somewhere they can never escape from.
Right.
And I don't know what costume
copyrighted for
Vitali
this,
is
yeah.
wearing right now, but
No matter how far I go, my car is stolen.
I mean, maybe he should have changed the lyrics to, like, fit the situation.
There's something about turning this into a spectacle for the internet that is gross to me. Like when I was looking at these people, these men were straight up demons. The first guy I was telling you about literally pooped himself in front of us, running down his legs as little children are playing around us in the yards. And like, it's not something that you should be taking lightly or laughing about or making a mockery of. Like, this is straight up demonic stuff. And you got to take care of them.
Tonal issues.
thank you guys.
I shall dance solemnly.
No, but
Is there a dance for, like, starting a wood chipper?
I am seeing a lot of people pushing back on this and saying that this is sick and you shouldn't want to see anybody tortured for entertainment.
Oh, no, I do want to see pedophiles.
Or they're just
in that
saying
position.
that, you know, Vitali is actually doing something counterproductive to these people facing the justice that they deserve and that
That's
society
true.
deserves.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, is he should be charged. Like, what he just did was a crime.
I want to.
He should be charged for that
I want to
crime.
see punishment, but there's something about the entertainment aspect of it that's weird to me.
It almost doesn't recognize the gravity of what's going on behind.
Like, having Akon sing while you're talking about someone who literally wanted to go hurt a child is weird to me.
Yeah.
I get making, like, we want to mock these people, and I want much worse to happen to these people, but I don't know. After having seen them in their faces and knowing what they want to do and reading their messages, it's weird to, like, bring in a pop star and just sing about it.
Yeah.
Although I get it, and they think they're mocking them, which they are. It's like it's like a struggle session that you should be doing.
But this is the second anything.
You mock stupidity. You mock ignorance.
Right. This needs to be straight up punished. Away forever.
And that's the thing, is on the one hand, like with Vitali did, I don't like the way he went about it because it's going to make it harder to prosecute that guy. At the same time, I understand what he did, and I think that what he did was more appropriate than just mockery.
And
so it's a hard line. It's a hard line to walk.
To defend it also, like to look at from another angle.
Yeah.
When the cops don't do stuff, the best thing to then do, I think, is to make sure everyone in the neighborhood knows.
Yeah.
Right. So there's something to bringing all this attention to
Putting
it,
their faces out there,
which is also
sure.
great. Yeah. Make sure everyone knows this person is sick, evil.
When that guy like gets his head shaved and has to eat a hot chip, like, is he thinking like, I'm never gonna do this again? No.
Yeah.
Like
he's thinking, I really want to go home.
Those urges will never go away.
I'm gonna go home, and then next week he's gonna start doing the same thing he was doing before.
Right. And it happened inside. Like,
you
should be. These people should be outside in shackles. You know.
At the very least, I feel like if you're going to do something like this, and I think the reason they don't involve law enforcement is because they want to be able to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because there is, who's really going to charge them?
Right.
But if you get law enforcement involved, the moment they admit to it, they're done.
Yeah.
They are going to jail at the very least, and at least for a couple of years, they won't be on the street.
Yeah.
And maybe you got to just keep picking them up. Maybe we got to be more vigilant about people who get out after these things.
Yep.
I don't think that just putting somebody on the offender registry is enough.
Yeah, no.
People move, because here's the thing. You move into a town and you have to go tell all of your neighbors. And then all of your neighbors move away because they don't want a sex offender on the street.
Yep.
And then you don't have to tell the new neighbors.
Oh, I get alerts. I mean, but still.
Shane, when you like saw these people in person when you were writing your piece for Alex Rosen, Did you think that some of these predators were like actually possessed?
Yeah.
Because I know you called them demons,
Yeah,
but I don't know
straight up.
if you were like using that in a colloquial
No,
sense.
straight up, I was like looking at a demon. Like I think there was a demon entity inside of them, making them be evil, and like they would act. So Alex is really good at. Anyone who's watched Alex do it, he's really good at interrogating them. It's like it starts soft, and he then tears into them once they start admitting little things here and there. And once you see that they are trapped, you see like this animal, like rabid instinct come out of them where they know they're trapped, they can't get out, and then they have to act as if what they have been doing is evil, but it's a front. Like they know that we know it's evil, so they act as if they know it's evil, right? But it's not. And I could see their face change. It was kind of what I was hearing when what that kid was saying earlier with doing drugs and seeing a demon face. That's how I felt seeing these people's faces, because it would always turn once they were caught. Once they couldn't get away from the fact that we had paperwork and pictures of the things they said they wanted to do, which are straight up evil, they were like exposed, and then all of a sudden the mask is gone and you're looking at an evil entity.
Yeah, and those videos like were satisfying to watch, but I had to stop watching them because it just like made me start thinking about how dangerous the world is, and
it's everywhere.
It's really blackpilling.
It's yes and no. I mean, because it's like it's nothing unique to today. It's been happening forever.
It's something that you can never extinguish.
You'll never extinguish
get
it.
rid
It's
of
like the Hydra. You cut
evil.
off one, 3 more grow back, and the internet accelerates
he's
it.
doing good.
Oh
no doubt
man,
about
I think
that.
Alex is great. He's one of the only ones I think that does it really well. This is weird to me. This
Do you
stuff
think that
Vitaly
it
does.
takes away from the gravity of the situation to do it the way that Vitaly is doing it?
I kind of like when you're especially when you're a parent and you see like just what is happening, like it takes away from the. That's why I like Alex's. Alex is making them say exactly what they were doing. I haven't seen that yet. I haven't watched all this guy's stuff, so I don't know. But from what I'm seeing now, it's just Lil Pump and Akon doing things for likes, right?
Yeah.
And that's cool, and I get it. But I want people to know just how evil it is. Like right now at the Olympics, we're all talking about the ceremony. There's a guy who was a convicted child rapist on the Netherlands volleyball team.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
no one's talking about
I didn't
that.
know that though.
Nobody's talking about it. It's
He's been booed. He's been booed. He went to jail. It was a 12-year-old girl. He was 19. Disgusting.
Yeah.
He's
competing in the Olympics.
I was really surprised that didn't get
Yikes!
more
I didn't
play.
hear anything about that.
Yep. Everyone's busy talking about the pale horse.
Yep. All right, let's read the rest of our super chats. Charlene Ferguson said the name of the sequence of the opening ceremony is literally called La Scène sur la Seine. That translates to the Last Supper on the stage on the river Seine. I don't know how to say it. So that would support the idea that this was an intentional parody, despite what Thomas Jolly said. I mean, I don't believe what you say. Your name is Thomas Jolly.
Yeah.
I don't believe anything you say. And it's not like they would tell us the truth about what they were doing anyway. Surinko Productions said, look at Thomas Jolly's other work. It's deaf demonic. It sounds like someone who would be friends with Marina Abramovic.
Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said, according to an exorcist in the 50s, demonic activity has been high in France since Mary appeared to Saint Bernadette. Satan deserves to be laughed at.
Wait, what was that one?
A lot of
Can you read that
exorcists are
again?
saying... Oh, it's that according to an exorcist in the 50s, demonic activity has been high in France since Mary appeared to Saint Bernadette.
Bro, demonic activity has been high in France since the 1200s.
Well, I think a lot of...
They've had a rough go of it.
A lot of exorcists have been saying that there is a noticeable rise in the amount of actual demonic possessions that they're coming across. Like the actual demand for exorcists is rising. And that's from exorcists who have been doing it for long enough that they noticed the difference.
Interesting.
And they say that it's partly due to, things being spread on the internet, witchcraft becoming a consumerist trend, and like witch talk, things like that. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on.
I get every time I hear somebody say they're a witch at this point, I get annoyed because 9 times out of 10 they tell me they're a Wiccan. And they're like pagan and they're going back to their original roots, and I'm like that was invented in 1954. That entire religion was invented in 1954.
Don't take that away from them. It's thousands of years old, dude.
They're
fled
like,
Germany to
we
come to the
celebrate
hills.
the Celtic holiday of Ostara, and it's like that wasn't a holiday, and the goddess it's named after was German.
There are a lot of witches.
Don't burst their bubble.
Have you been meeting a lot of witches?
No.
I went to a town in Georgia to write a book about lost Confederate gold and wound up meeting like a coven. And they were running hotels. They were everywhere. They were doing all this weird black magic, blood magic.
I respect that a lot more.
I mean, they had crystals on a bloody battlefield from the Revolutionary War, doing some weird stuff on a full moon.
If you're gonna be a witch, at least be like a witch.
They were doing,
you know,
they literally bought a hotel that was on top of a graveyard.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was fun times.
Yesh said, "Hey PCC, it's your boy Yesh. A little late today. If y'all can start over, that'd be great."
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so guys, in this episode 666
birds
of Pop
aren't
Culture
real.
Yes.
Trish Berry, already read that one. Gordon Shumway said, "How can you be talking about the Olympics when there is a femicide going on in the Congo?" I don't know.
You have to
I don't know how we sleep at night.
Thanks to the internet, you now have to care about literally everything that happens to everyone, everywhere, all the time.
Yeah, didn't you know?
All at once.
Yeah.
Yeah, or else you're a bad person.
Otherwise, you are a horrible human being.
Nate said, "If y'all talking analog horror, we gotta bring in Wendigoon."
Oh yeah.
It would be great to have him on the show.
Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah. Not saying it'll happen anytime soon.
I have brought it up to him. He is a very busy man.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
The Chronicles of Mexico said the black eye would represent the Antichrist, who's supposed to have one eye. Satanists believe you lose favor with God if you ignore.
Huh?
Again, so
I don't know what
that
that
hire
means.
the guy who goes around and punches the celebrities. That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Satanists
He's on
believe you lose
Craigslist.
favor with God if you ignore. I don't know what that means.
Satanists believe you lose favor. Okay.
Satanists believe a lot of things I don't really hold in high esteem. So I'm not really sure what you meant. If you could elaborate, that would be great. Red Snow said, "Dare I make the joke, Wendigoon, let's go?" I don't know what that means.
What dare I make?
Wendigoon.
Oh, not Wendigoon.
That's not what he said. He just wrote Wendigoon. Trish
it
Berry,
might be giants.
Trish Berry sent us $2 without a message. Thank you.
Thank you.
Red Snow said, "Art today is dead. Best quote of 2024. Unfortunately true. Joy W said, "In my opinion, tarot was just a tool in the past that now has dumb superstition with spiritual influence from both good and evil. FYI, divination is an abomination."
Okay.
That is true. Also, witchcraft, if I remember correctly, originally actually referred to divination. I think it was witches were diviners in medieval English. What
do you make of the witches in the Bible? Like in the Old Testament, when it was outlawed by King?
It was King James. The King James version is the one that
that says it's a witch.
But the law actually is from Alfred of Wessex. The law about witches in England that banned witchcraft, sorcery, and all that. That's where that all originated, and how you end up with the King James being so anti-witchcraft is because there was already a long English tradition of witchcraft.
Can you name I forget the name of the book. I actually mentioned it in the book I was just telling you I wrote.
It was the Malefius Maleficarum.
Thank you. That's a great word.
The Witch's Hammer.
Right. We look up quotes from that book about what they were going to do to witches. Yeah. And that's why they say a lot left that area and came here. Like literally here.
Medieval Europe got really serious about witchcraft. There were not as many witches burned at the stake as people think, but they got super serious about it to the academic level, where there was an academic study of witchcraft for the purpose of getting rid of witches.
It was a father who wrote that book, I believe. He was some Catholic.
It was a priest, if I'm
For
not
some reason,
mistaken.
every white woman in the West thinks that she is descended from witches that were burnt at the stake.
Right. A lot of them weren't
There
actually
weren't that
burned.
many of them.
A lot of them were hanged, actually.
Doesn't make any sense.
In the U.S.
In Salem.
Yeah, it was a lot of hangings.
Yeah.
Like burning at the stake was really something that you did as a spectacle.
It was also more
Those are
of
bigger
like a medieval
witch
thing.
bonfires.
It was really about who it was being burned too, because if you look at it, it was often associated something that you did when somebody had sinned in some way. But if you look at some of the more famous examples, Joan of Arc burned at the stake. Jacques de Molay, the Grand Master of the not the Freemasons, the Grand Master of the Templars in 1307. He was burned, almost a decade later. But those are the people they burned at the stake.
Right.
If it was somebody who was they weren't going to waste all of that effort going to burn somebody. They would just hang them.
Yeah.
And it would be done with. Yeah. But and then in medieval England, they would do fun stuff like draw and quarter you if you were William Wallace.
Took it very, very seriously. Yeah.
Corey Anderson said the Italian boxer just issued an apology to the dude that beat her up. LOL, can't wait for Clint to come crawling back tonight. I don't know what that means.
I don't know who Clint is.
I don't know what that means. But sad if true. This is why things will never change. Rhaegar Targaryen said, "Who is Matt Wallace?" I guess it's kind of chronically online of us that we know by name who these accounts are. That, but
he's a he appears to be a grifter, but I think he's a psycho.
Almost everything he posts is a video saying, "What do you notice?"
Right.
Yeah.
And it's
and there's usually nothing to notice.
Sometimes there's
it's
absolutely
like how
nothing.
Dom Lucre goes, so and so, like Kyle Rittenhouse recently, so and so, you have been selected to be exposed, and then says absolutely nothing to expose them.
The anger at Kyle today is some of the most ridiculous
I'm sitting here, I'm
stuff.
like, that is one of the most principled
Brett
things
was
I've ever
going
seen.
off about this earlier.
Who was Brett?
Brett was.
It's ridiculous, right?
What
ridiculous.
he said is one of the most principled things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this is the group of people. Like, it was MAGA who got behind you and everything, and you're sitting there and you're going, sorry guys, I really think that Trump is not the right guy.
Yeah.
Like,
well, there was
you can disagree with him, but that takes balls. That takes guts.
It was the language around the stuff that was being said to him that was just very cult-like.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I know.
Oh, what Cat Turd said?
That is exactly what I was going to talk about. I saw that right before I came up here. People are ridiculous.
Luckily, I got it all out of my system
Also,
earlier.
he's what, 19, 20?
21.
Yeah.
Like,
super
hey,
young kid.
the kid didn't intend to be famous.
Right.
He got put in a position due to bad decisions made by everyone involved, including him. He should not have been there. There were a whole bunch of bad decisions made. He got put in a position he was never going to get a normal job ever.
Right.
He had to go into a certain sort of career.
Yes.
You don't get to nail him now that he's at the position where, for guys like Cat Turd, for some of the older crowd, they were not public figures when they were 19.
Right.
Kyle's going to grow up in the public eye.
You're not doing good justice to the idea that you're in a cult when you start shunning the people you thought were in your cult.
Exactly. It's
just the language around it was just. I just can't. I can't.
It's disgusting.
I can't get with it.
It's disgusting.
Trish Berry said, Brett, few moderate a podcast better than you, but you seem... Oh, moderate a podcast better than you, but you seem troubled today, hoping you find rest this weekend and can ease your brow.
She said that was said during the Mandela segment. I thought I was particularly
Brett seems on point today.
opinionated during that segment, so I don't know.
You are a little less animated than I usually see you.
I disagree. I think I've been perfectly animated today.
It's not an insult. It's just like you seem like you might like you're.
Listen, guys, I'm allowed to have an off day.
Finish the 5-hour energy.
I'm allowed to have.
I
an
can't
off
imagine
day.
having to do this literally every day. I don't know how you two do it.
Shane H. Wilder said, Brett, you left out the Monty Python joke. I object to all of this sex on the television. I mean, I keep falling off.
That's a fair point. He did say that.
Serenco Productions said Febreze versus Febreze with two E's.
Yeah, that's another one of the Mandela effects.
It always had one, right?
And Chick-fil-A. Mary mentioned that one earlier. Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Wait, did Febreze have two E's or one?
It does not have
it has
two E's.
one.
Okay, I don't actually have no idea.
And
what
I
think.
thought for years that Chick-fil-A was spelled C-H-I-K. It's
Right.
actually C-H-I-C-K.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it makes more sense that way.
That's not as much of a Mandela effect as the other ones, though. Potatoes for Seamus said, Hi, Brett. Hope you're having a great day.
Thank you.
They're worried about you.
Thank you, guys.
I can tell.
Blink twice if you're okay.
Potatoes for Seamus said, so Shane, what you are saying is CERN is a time machine. JK, we love the inverted world. Hi, Aidan. Hi, Mary.
Yes,
Hi.
thank you. That's why the old clone of Joe Biden actually crawled through CERN to get here, which is why his brain was mush.
Do
It's
you
a
think Jim
consequence.
Carrey is playing Joe Biden
There's
right
probably
now?
been a few Bidens that were played by Carrey. There's a network of Bidens: deepfakes, green screen Bidens, AI Bidens, reanimated corpse Bidens, animated animatronic Bidens from like the president, Hall of Presidents in Disney. It's all types.
Okay.
Wait, are we arguing that Biden isn't real?
Biden's there's
Well, there was
multiple
a
Bidens.
theory that we
and there's a vintage
covered
Biden
recently
out there.
where-
There is a vintage Biden out there, but there's
It's just
lots of other Bidens.
pre-facelift
Yeah.
Biden. That's vintage
Yeah,
Biden.
yeah.
But like, there's a theory that Jim Carrey is currently Joe Biden's body.
The Biden that said his uncle was eaten by cannibals is the one that crawled through CERN because that's the timeline he came from. Just so you know, that's just fact.
okay.
That's on Wikipedia. Find it. It's on Snopes.
Okay, Hannibal Lecter, he would love to eat you for dinner.
He'd love it.
Enjoy W.
He'd make
said,
a best meal.
tennis ball
I would make the
green.
best meal if you made out of my meat. You could make me. I'd make great steaks.
Chartreuse is tennis ball green. Miss Ray said, "This is hurting my brain in the best way." That's what we aim for. Uncle Sam said, "Trivia and parody are used to change history and facts. Why physical copies are most important."
True.
Well, if the Mandela effect is real, it can actually change your physical copy.
Yeah, that was the point you were making, right? You were like, if you go back and watch your DVDs, if the Mandela effect is real, then your Berenstain Bear books will say
Do you
stain
think a
and not
Faraday
stain.
cage could protect things from possible Mandela effects?
It depends on what the Mandela effect is. I mean, if it's
coming
warping
from
the
CERN.
entirety of reality,
Yes,
in
that's literally the theory.
then
Are
I
you
don't
safe
think
inside a
that,
Faraday?
I don't think an aluminum foil room is going to do anything. You know,
I don't know.
In the show,
So tinfoil hat I could wear and be safe here. No?
in the show Person of Interest, when they're trying to find out if there's even a way for the good AI to defeat the evil AI, they have to put the machine into a Faraday cage and let it run out all sequences as to whether they can actually defeat, because the evil one is promulgated so far into society that it dwarfs
Holy
the size of the
mackerel.
original one, and it comes back with no. It says we're going to lose. It's freaking crazy. Like it's like they literally, and they have to at one point. The whole thing has to be shut down into a small algorithm that fits it into a briefcase computer, and then put through a bunch of PS3s that have all been turned into a supercomputer and then put into a Faraday cage. It's crazy.
You talk about that show a lot.
Yeah,
You love that
it's
show.
More
At some
prescient.
point,
It's
I'll
more
have to watch
prescient
that.
than any show out there right now with everything that's going on.
Interesting.
Corey Anderson said fuchsia is reddish. That's where the confusion is. Okay, but why would anyone confuse fuchsia with chartreuse?
the U.
Is it just the U sound?
See,
That's it?
Chartreuse,
humans,
fuchsia.
we're just stupid.
That's exactly what I think it was for me too. Is I was putting fuchsia and chartreuse together in my head.
Otis Crinkle sent us $6.66. Sorry to be tardy to the party. About to restart the show. Hope y'all have a great weekend. Can't wait for the new Inverted World on Sunday.
Sick. Thank you.
What did we guys cover in the Sunday?
The Olympic opening ceremony. And
I got him.
I got Isaac Weishaupt. I hope I said his last name correctly, but we're also talking about Twin Peaks and David Lynch and a lot of fun stuff like that.
There's a 20.
From Dreamcast Night, the Mandela effect is probably an alien ship passing by our solar system at faster than light. We see the Mandela effect as a ripple.
Interesting.
That still makes zero sense to me.
That they're going so fast is causing like a ripple in space time, which is shifting our reality.
I'm just going to
Happens.
operate
It
under
happens.
the
I'm not
principle
against the
that
idea of multiple realities.
Our
I'm not either.
brains, that our brains are not as much of a steel trap as we think they are, and we're also more medicated than we've ever been in any generation prior. And maybe Pfizer's just frying our brains.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe that's what
So
it is.
there is one little interesting tidbit on that I guess coming at it from the theological, the spiritual angle interests me and that I've thought about in the past, which is, if you think about the Christian concept that God knows everything that will ever happen, God also knows everything that can ever happen, and humans have free will, right? Which means that there are infinite possibilities for what could happen. God knows all of them.
Yeah.
God can see all of them. Kind of like Doctor Strange in whichever Avengers movie it was. He's like, I went to the future, I looked at 14 billion realities, and in only one did we win. I see the God's omniscience in my interpretation is like that. So it follows then that if God is also omnipotent, is it not possible that everything is happening parallel to one another? And it's all just playing out, and maybe we could switch somehow between those realities. And you have all these cultures that also have these ideas of, like, for example, the Celts believe that you could step in and out of time. How much different is stepping in and out of time from stepping in and out of one reality?
There's people who have that believe that now.
Yeah.
So whether it's with drugs or not, but like they do believe we can go through different timelines. And I also think people felt that way after the failed assassination attempt, because people were like, we were this close to a different reality.
And what happens
living in it?
What happens if all of those realities start to collapse in on each other? Maybe it happens that just something weird goes on.
Describe the internet, Aidan. That's the internet. It's a collapse machine.
Shane H. Wilder said, I was asked to make a silent film short for PCC. I think this will be the episode. I just need some public domain cabinet of Dr. Calgary-esque music. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Rhaegar Targaryen said Alex Rosen kicked it with the Hodge twins. Yeah.
Sick.
Corey Anderson said the ladies really brought back that Big D energy to the Olympics this year. Holla.
The Hodge twins, when they were here one time, gave me one of those white privilege cards.
You still have it?
And I gave it to my brother. I gave it to my brother.
The Rumbling said Peterson was on last week, but Shane does cover multiple topics that Joe is interested in, like ghosts, conspiracies, predators, aliens, and clouds.
I mean, I love it when he when he sidetracks somebody who's talking. Like he was on recently with Annie Jacobson. And, and she's like, so nuclear war, right? And he's like, but aliens. And it's
well, she has written a great book on UFO on Area 51. But
I read her one about the forming of the CIA.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Also, her book on Paperclip is really good. Operation Paperclip. She's a great writer.
Yep.
Red Snow said Space King believes in blanks. I think we should praise him. I'm not going to read the rest of it.
Yeah, we gotta. Sorry,
Shane
guys.
H. Wilder
We gotta keep the show on the air.
Said we know for certain that he, the devil, cannot enter our soul except by the door of our consent. St. Francis de Sales. True. Rhaegar Targaryen said, I also enjoy Michael Knowles' conversations. He had one with a former witch, former astrologer, and former psych drug addict last year, and an exorcist. I watched all of those. They were great.
And with a podcaster named Mary just the other day.
That's right.
True.
That's right.
Yes. I'm not any of those things, though.
Former witch.
Red Snow said people need to stop effing about but still find out. I don't know what that means.
The phrasing is, I don't get it.
Miss Ray said my last chat was for the Mandela segment about you being sad, Brett.
Oh,
I don't know.
I mean, why? Because I had strong opinions about that. Usually, I assume that they mean like if I'm not saying anything
you're just sad about all the false memories. That we may or may not have.
mean, my point is just that your reality is basically fake and nothing really matters.
It's not. That's
there is a base reality.
Yes. Okay. Then
I have faith in God and in God's reality.
It's why I keep making the joke, because everyone on the internet hates it, that anecdotal evidence, it really is the only thing that matters, because people don't live in a world of statistics. People live in a world of how they actually experienced the things around them. So when people give you anecdotal evidence, though it may not speak to larger trends, if you're trying to reach that one person, you have to at least entertain the idea of what their anecdotal evidence is, even if it isn't indicative of larger trends.
Because that's how you find out.
Exactly.
The way to communicate effectively.
Yeah.
Potatoes for Seamus said, so when do we get Mr. Ballin on PCC?
That's an even harder get.
That's yeah.
I don't know.
Especially with the fact that the channel is on the network it's on.
Red Snow said, come on, Mary. His name is Wendigoon. I called him Wendigoon.
Wentugoon?
He didn't say two, though.
He said when, like W-H-E-N. When.
It wasn't as clever as you thought it was, buddy.
Oh, that's mean. Man.
Mary.
Corey Anderson said Kyle R. apologized as well.
Oh.
He apologized for his voting decision?
I hate apologies.
That's so weird.
It was cultish the way that they were talking about it.
They struggle session Kyle into an apology.
It was crazy.
Yeah, he shouldn't have folded like
Never
that.
I really was having a breakdown reading it. And poor Mary had to listen to me just rant about it for like 20 minutes.
I agree with you.
Yeah, the point.
And I'm just like, I'm going to vote for Trump. I just don't feel like I need to force someone else to vote for Trump.
My point was the same, right? Like, as somebody who is like, and then was, basically cast out by friends because they didn't even know, because I don't talk about politics heavily. Like, that was who I was going to vote for. That was who I did vote for. But they didn't know that. And then the difference is like when they call out in both sides tell you you're in a cult.
Yep.
And then the difference is that, you can be a principled voter who has specific things that that you have in mind as far as policies that you want to see enacted, but then you're lumped in with the people who tell you have to do this or else.
Maybe that's why people are reacting this way, though, because they feel like they've given up so much for Trump. Specifically public figures feel like they've invested so much.
And to be fair, I do think that his principled vote is a waste of a vote. And I understand there's a whole argument to be made about
this isn't the way to convince someone else.
You should never be this emotionally attached to any politician.
Yeah, and that's usually
that's why some people think Trump is the Antichrist, is because of this undying loyalty.
Yep. My dislike for politicians does not stop at any party door.
Nope.
Like, there's a great reason to despise pretty much all of them.
Red Snow said it is actually called chicken fillet. I don't think it does.
They're from a different
Say
timeline.
that, but I'm craving Chick-fil-A now.
There's a 20 from Pop Culture Junkie.
Oh, missed this. He said, 1, everything happens at the same time. 2, your brain cannot accept that, so it creates a process to make it linear. 3, Mandela effect is a side effect of number 2.
Have you seen all the research being done into time dilating drugs as it relates to like prison sentences?
Like they want to give you like these
which is a horrible idea because it's the people that are affected that won't be experiencing it. So yeah, the guy comes out with 20 years of punishment, but you've only been through like a day, and now this dude's back out on the street, right?
I don't agree with it.
Like, but the idea of time dilating drugs is horrible in general because look, I've done a lot of stuff that especially if you're talking like barbiturates and benzos that do like feel like if you do them in the wrong doses, especially if you're out in the world, feels like everything's happening around you and you can't move in a way that's commensurate with what's going on around you. And that's a horrible feeling, right? Why you would voluntarily want to do that, I have no idea. The idea of it as a punishment is unique.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know if I trust an evil,
I don't think anyone would want to volunteer for that anyway.
Well, I mean, the idea would be that you're being volunteered for it by the state, and I don't trust the state either.
I don't love that. I don't mind the idea of giving people the option because, like, personally, if I could be assured that it in fact would be the period they say it's going to feel like.
But
I would much rather be feeling like I'm spending more time in prison and then coming out,
still young,
3 weeks older than I would be in prison for 15 years,
I think it depends on what the crime is too.
But then you can't get jacked in prison, so that's
personally, I think that I think we're looking at this entirely the wrong way. We should just reform the prison system to be more about rehabilitation.
Yeah.
There are some people you can't rehabilitate.
Yeah.
They go away for life. They stay in a cage.
Yeah.
The people who can be rehabilitated,
like those 3 masterminds of 9/11 who are now going to spend life in prison rather than
Yeah. But I think that there's if you robbed a convenience store and I mean like shoplifted a convenience store, you should not go to prison for 6 months.
Another 20.
It doesn't make sense.
Dr. Larsena said, Aidan, English Protestants and colonists rarely burnt anyone, and this was overwhelmingly post-medieval.
Yeah.
By the way, jihadis kill more every year than the Spanish Inquisition did in all of its history. Did you expect that?
Well, I'd never expect the Spanish Inquisition.
Well, no, I very much expected that the Islamist thing won. That very few people died during the Spanish Inquisition, all told. I don't think I said that American witches were burned at the stake.
No,
I don't think you did either.
If I did, it wasn't intentional. I was intending to say that the idea that American witches were burned at the stake is largely a misconception. That witches generally weren't burned at the stake at all.
Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said, Cashman, you forgot Skibbity Bidens.
That's right.
Skibbity Biden.
That's right. On purpose. I
can't wait for I can't wait for the Michael Bay Skibbity toilet movie. It's going to be incredible.
Lord Almighty.
High Vulture 75 said, Brett's fine. He just needs to nourish his body with some yummy food after the show's over.
I'm going to ban them. High Vulture
Nourish your body with a Friday hot dog.
Nourish your body with yummy food. It should be a bannable offense when anybody says it on the internet. And food Nazis are the worst Nazis of all. People who tell you have to eat, like I will eat unhealthy until I die, purely in protest of people who tell me how I have to eat.
Yeah, you're gonna get dinner at Sheetz tonight.
Yeah. No, I stopped eating at Sheetz, but that's a money thing, not a healthy
Sheetz
thing.
has got rough in this economy.
Yeah, it's expensive, man.
Dude, I know.
If I'm gonna kill myself with food, it's I got to do so in a cheaper fashion.
Red Snow said, "Arp, arp, arp." Also, praise be to Space King.
Thank you.
Corey Anderson said, "Space King is an apostate," and Red Snow said, "Space King denies you, Corey." I don't know what any of this means. I'm just reading the super chats. Red Snow said, the Wendigoon comment was funny. I didn't say clever. Okay, bless your heart. DCNC said Cashman versus Mattis, Flat Earth. Go!
1/4 of the way to the 6th crisis party.
Let's go!
Let's
The firmament. There's a firmament above.
No! That's a mistranslation.
It's in the Bible.
A misinput.
Somebody get us a 6th crisis party on episode 666.
Wait, so do you actually believe in the Flat Earth, or is that a bit?
When it comes to all that, I just don't know.
Now, Shane, you listen right here.
Oh
you
my
need
goodness,
to understand.
there we go.
What you need to understand is how do you do the Crips and Bloods thing?
No, he's crip walking people.
You need to understand that this is
They're not
No.
capturing the full glory of this.
I do think we don't know exactly what the shape of the Earth is. I think that's a fair thing to say.
Who was the guy that we talked about recently, where he had the ice wall hat?
I mean, that we know for sure.
What are you
the
talking
guy who I was making fun of him in his very dry delivery of his very hyperbolic terms.
Mm-hmm.
And he was wearing a hat that said ice wall, and I was like, this guy isn't nearly verbose enough to do the job he's doing. I don't remember what we were talking about.
I was challenged to a boxing match by a flat earther recently.
Do it.
I'm going to. Actually,
Yes.
I told him I would suggest this. He wanted to hold it in Florida. I don't have time to go box an unemployed guy in Florida. But I do have time to drive to West Virginia if Timcast wants to host it. So
All right.
That's not a bad idea.
I'm glad I remembered to bring this up.
Conspiracy boxing would do numbers.
That would be great.
Oh, and
Like,
he
people
100% was saying I was not going to bring this up.
If chess boxing is a thing, conspiracy theory boxing
Are you
should
going to
definitely
yell
be.
out things about the debate while you're boxing?
Oh, no.
Oh, I want to hear you just
I've been in
give
exactly
facts.
one boxing match in my life. It happened under extremely similar circumstances. I had never boxed
But
before.
you switch between the rounds of boxing and debating.
Rounds of debating?
Wait.
That would be interesting
That's
because
what they
whoever's
do in
winning the
chess.
boxing match is going to have the advantage.
That's what they do with chess
rounds
boxing
seems a little
is that
biased
they,
in
like-
this. Rounds? I don't know. Sorry, that was a real bad dad
Yes.
joke.
That was
Thank you.
good.
Sorry, I'm a dad.
But in chess boxing, they go between
Mm-hmm.
each one, and whoever lasts longer actually, that's how it works. So I think that should be how you do it.
I think so. I think we should have 6 rounds that each last 6 minutes. And I think that there should be another 6 in there somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
I'm not that funny.
There's a couple more there.
Okay. Potatoes for Seamus said, Brett, eat a salad.
No.
You guys are so judgmental of Brett today. Goodness.
Yeah. Frankly, I'm going to turn this podcast around.
Shane H. Wilder.
I'm going to turn this podcast around.
Thank you. Shane H. Wilder said Mary just went full Southern with Bless Your Heart. It was called for.
I'm not dancing in protest of the way people are treating me today.
You look so miserable, Brett.
What is wrong with you?
Seriously, guys.
Gordon Shumway said, Brett, you need to nourish your body with some moist nourishment.
Moist is not there's nothing wrong with the word moist.
Okay,
That's
Brett.
a psyop.
Brett, don't you want to be supple?
That word doesn't bother me either.
Red Snow said,
Supple just sounds like a word that would have been used in the Penthouse Forum back in the 90s.
That's
Not
a good
that
point.
I know anything about the Penthouse Forum.
Yeah, how
back
much
in the 90s.
Penthouse were
I
you reading
wasn't
back in the
old
90s?
enough-
Specific.
I
So
wasn't
you're 10 years older than me.
to do so I wouldn't know anything about that. I'm just saying.
Remember when I was
11-year-old Brett's like, yo, kitties, man.
Remember when I was like, is Penthouse like a magazine about apartments?
Yes.
Red Snow said, how from 6 are we from praising Space King?
How far from the 6th crisis party, you ask? We are about 20. We're about $30 away.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I'm going to praise Space King when that happens, but you can give us a 6th party.
Who is Space King and why are we praising him?
Look, I've asked this question so many times. They've answered it. I still don't know. Okay.
Okay.
DCNC said McMahon got to start a chess boxing league. Well, I don't know who hosts it currently, but it's definitely a thing. Greg Duvier said helping to get to 6th party on episode 666. Let's go.
We're getting there.
What would this episode be without 6 parties to
Right?
celebrate?
It just wouldn't make sense.
Potatoes for Seamus said Shane the Mole people called and they said don't forget them. They said them and the reptilians are ready. Fire a fight. I don't know what any of this
You
means.
could also box
that's fair.
somebody about fake clouds.
I could. I'll take on anybody.
Oh,
with fake clouds.
somebody from the Big Cloud Industrial Complex could come in with
Yeah,
the propaganda.
that's right.
and-
Flat Earth is one that gets people angry enough.
Yes.
I think they would really want to do it.
They'll definitely fight. No one's
going to
fight me over fake clouds. Yeah, I think.
Well,
I
so-
can-
Well,
the
Austin
Elvis-
Whitsitt, the guy who challenged me, he wanted to make it a whole card. He wanted multiple.
Find a real
bouts.
cloud.
Yeah.
Find a real cloud guy.
A real cloud guy.
So it's like,
Or
that's-
find a
my
man
way.
who believes in clouds.
Yeah, send them my
okay,
way.
I think I can
See,
do
I
that.
believe in clouds. I think there are vintage clouds, but most of them are fake these days.
$20
That's another
from
episode.
Gordon Shumway. 6 crisis parties. Let's go.
and another 20 from the Lore Lodge says we have
Whoa.
merch on Bunker
What?
Branding
What?
now.
What? Who said
Is
that?
someone
Wait, you can get
trailing?
this shirt on Bunker Branding as of
Holy
today?
crap.
If you go to bunkerbranding.com, our
up
merch
again.
will be at the top banner. What?
Hold it up again.
Okay, I'll
That's
stand.
crazy. Yeah, model it for us. Give us a twirl.
Nice. Nice.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Continue
Amazing.
on.
The Gnostic Alien said for episode 666, stretching till 6 p.m. and the 6th Crisis Party.
I mean, I knew that was going to happen today.
Yeah.
I knew that it was going to go that long.
It was the energy in the room. High Voltage said 6 parties, let's go.
Yep.
DC&C said Metatron made it to 6 parties.
Well, you know what? If
why don't you
Metatron
just
jumped off a
marry
bridge,
him?
would you do it too?
Okay, we have more. Red Snow said, how many times do I gotta say it's Big E from 40K?
That was the reference.
Yeah.
The 40K reference earlier.
I don't know anything about 40K.
Well, that's your problem.
Corey.
Listen, Mary, if you want to attract the right kind of man,
Yeah.
which is a man who serves the
I'm gonna have
emperor.
to study up.
Which basically is saying that when chicks say they like nerds, what they mean is Henry Cavill. You know, he's a 40K fan. So
Yeah, that's right.
if you're looking for your true nerd spouse for the future, it's going to have to be a guy.
I
that-
like to believe that Henry Cavill's baby mama is just like into Real Housewives and Starbucks.
He's
She
gonna be
doesn't
dad
know
now.
what Warhammer is.
Nice. Good for him.
And he likes to sit there and they intersperse their conversations where she bothers him with stuff about Desperate Housewives.
Exactly.
And he bothers her with stuff about 40K, and they just talk past each other constantly.
Red Snow, or no, Corey Mahoney sent us 20. He
Thank
said,
you.
You guys rock. Thank you. Dr. Larsena said, Aidan, sorry, 225 words. I meant to reinforce your point about burnings being exaggerated and more of a Catholic thing. Also,
Gotcha.
Middle Ages, rarer witch
Yeah.
and or heretic hunts than
Than
early modern.
I know it. I know it's that person. I can't tell from the name if that's a guy or a girl. But yes, that okay, cool. I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, that's. Everybody thinks that the Middle Ages they were going around burning witches left and right, and it's like no. Every once in a while, somebody got accused of being a witch, but
It's funny how that happens.
it was usually just like some village woman who was making herbal remedies, and somebody didn't like that.
Yeah.
Christopher Ruber said, we need more Shane on PCC, Inverted World and PCC crossover. They love you.
I know. I love being on the show. I love it.
Potatoes for
You're a busy guy,
Seamus.
though.
I am.
Busy guy.
Yeah. Potatoes for Seamus said, Aidan, get Wendy on PCC. Heart emoji, heart emoji, heart emoji.
I'll do what I can. Right now, I'm trying to get him on the podcast I have with him because he's that busy.
That would help. Thank
Now,
you.
of course, you can't have 6 crisis parties on episode 666. That would be bad luck. So we have to get to 7.
Well, I don't know,
Don't
man.
jinx
6 plus
us.
7 is 13.
Ah!
Oh
I think we
no.
might have to go for 8.
No.
Wasn't I also here for like it was like the 500th episode or
Yeah.
something like that? where
Might have been 400.
400th where we were here for like 5 hours.
It happens. You think that sucks? Try editing that video.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Cody Frost said, first time seeing live, 5:30 a.m. in Australia. Let's go.
Whoa.
go.
What's up, Australia?
We love our fans.
I talked to
from
a
the
lady.
Down Under.
I had a lady on Inverted World last week who was part of a cult that's big in Australia. The
Oh,
2x2s. Yeah. Weird. Like,
I'm sure there are actually a lot of cults there. It
a
just
great
seems
place
like
for
it would be
cults.
the place
I love the
to be.
videos where
Kind
people
of like California in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
people like
exactly.
stand up to kangaroos. You seen those videos?
What are you, anti-kangaroo?
No, I'm
Can
saying
we watch
you
kangaroo fight
kangaroo-phobic?
videos?
I love the videos where like the and then they act like it's completely normal because it just it just doesn't happen here.
They're just Southern Hemisphere Texans.
Yes.
It's very true.
Greg Duvier said, Shane, how do I know if it's a real cloud or a fake cloud?
We need samples, unfortunately. See what the microplastic content is. Also to know if
What
it's a
are the
hologram cloud.
traits? Like, to the
there's
naked eye.
different clouds. There's hologram clouds, microplastic clouds. There's clouds that are from the cloud factories. There's Bill Gates clouds. There's
the
vintage clouds that are
there's the
mutilated.
cloud storage on your phone.
There's cloud storage on your phone. There's vintage clouds that are mutilated by microplastics and a lot of other bad stuff, like forever chemicals out there. So we need samples, and we'll be able to determine what kind of fake
Forever
cloud it is.
chemicals and microplastics and everything else that you're just designed to be terrified of 24/7. Darn.
Brett's bullying Shane.
No, I'm saying everyone, right? Everyone's like, oh, it's the forever chemicals and the microplastics.
Look.
And it's the seed oils and it's everything.
Well, the seed
Your
oils are
life
coming
is
out of the fake
miserable,
clouds.
even though you
Says
live
the
in a
guy with
first
his
world
latte
country.
in a plastic cup.
Yeah. Literally, like, okay, it's like here they buy us deep well water. Well, what if I want shallow well water?
No.
Is that bad?
I'm happier now that I know about fake clouds, and everyone will feel the same once they recognize.
You're right that they are uglier than they used to be.
They're uglier. They're much uglier.
I don't know
Look
if
at
they're
paintings
fake,
from the
but
Civil
they
War,
don't
Aidan.
look as nice.
You'll see a different cloud type from the 1860s. We don't have those clouds anymore.
I'm sure that
Because
there's
the
people
paintings
that
are
blame
real.
that on climate change.
Well, fake clouds
You're killing
are the
me.
real
You're
climate
killing
change.
me.
The fake clouds are the real climate change.
This is all just the Tartaria stuff.
Not Tartaria. They had different clouds.
No, they had no clouds.
Oh,
That's how we know
is that what it is?
Tartaria was real.
Damn. There's no clouds in their artwork.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Red Snow said, I act out, but love you guys. Let's go. Party number 7.
We're
We'll
getting
make it
there. We're
for
getting
sure.
there, guys. Do it, or I'm gonna
Do
keep
we
eating
get a-
microplastics
We got a
and seed
20.
oil.
I like how Brett's turned me into Eeyore. Oh, fake clouds.
We got a 20 from Santos Chavez. Bring back the wig, Brett.
He's too positive. He can't do. Wig Brett can't do that today.
I want Johnny Bravo Brett back. Everyone wants blonde Brett back.
Well,
That was your
Brett.
look.
Blonde Brett.
ate too many.
Guys, if we get to 10 parties today,
Oh my God.
Brett is going to
Blonde
bring
Brett.
back the blonde.
Well, no. Okay.
Finish writing a script.
The rule is that if you get to 10 crisis parties, I will wear the blonde wig for the intro, the first hour of the show when it comes back.
You are so cruel. Rhaegar Targaryen said, I don't even know who Metatron is, but yes, I would. Okay. Metatron is this YouTuber that everyone wants us to have on the show.
Oh.
I think that would be actually
Seamus.
an interesting one. If you
Well,
get him, if you get him, let me come on too. I want to talk to him.
Okay,
great
but it's
name.
like,
Person.
what would we talk about? We don't talk about any of the same things.
It's kind of similar to what I do.
Isn't Metatron? I don't know who that is on YouTube.
Have
But
him
isn't
on your
Metatron an
show.
angel from like an apocryphal?
Metatron, if I'm not
Islam.
mistaken, is the Greek term used for Enoch.
Okay, maybe
If
that's
I'm
what it
not
is.
mistaken.
I thought there was in Islam there was a Metatron as well.
We have a 20 from Gordon Shumway.
There
He
might be.
said
I
they
love that
probably
name.
didn't have enough ducks around during the Middle Ages to put on the scales to see if the witch floats. That's why they didn't burn witches at the stake. That's what Monty Python taught me.
Fair.
Monty
Probably
Python
true.
and the Holy Grail is easily one of the greatest movies of all
Real
time.
history.
One of the best comedy movies of all time.
Yeah.
Everything about it is wrong, and I love it.
I love it.
They,
Yeah,
they were
they're
just
great.
like, all right, we're taking King Arthur, Holy Grail, and going with that.
It was genius.
It's wonderful.
Potatoes for Seamus said, is this episode real? Will we ever know?
You
Are we
may.
It's all
here?
fake.
Are we here? We might be deepfakes.
It's all fake.
Ooh, that could be it.
We could be deepfakes.
DCNC sent £6 and 66 pence. I don't even know what you have over there.
Nice.
He said they probably, or no, he said, Bretto, I made a thing, my guy. A yummy, soul-nourishing, vegan, gluten-free, cheese-only pizza.
The only thing worse than that is the fact that you did we just did a thing millennial bullshit. That
You're
they always-
really curmudgeonly
they,
today.
when they buy a house and they say
Like, what's going
when
on?
they buy a house and they say we did a thing, or you wrote a book and you say I did a thing. How about you take some pride in your work?
Right.
How about you say
I'm
we
with
bought a
them on this.
house in this economy?
Good.
Your lame millennial aloofness is not cool.
I did have something happen to me the other day which shook me to my core, which was I saw a video on TikTok and it was like about Gen Z getting old and how they don't recognize any of the Gen Alpha slang. And so it's just like them using each other's slang back and forth, and the Gen Z guy getting more and more like, oh God, I don't know what's being, and trying to respond with like the Gen Z stuff. And I'm sitting there, I look at my girlfriend who's 22 and I'm like, oh God,
Wait.
I don't know. I need you to translate.
What were
Like,
the-
I
what
need
is
you to
the-
translate.
What were the terms?
It, like some of it, like no cap, cool, got it. I can't remember the other ones, but it was just stuff that was
I
being
want to
said that
know
I'm
the
like,
other ones.
I
What
don't
are the
re-
Gen Alpha terms?
The Gen Alpha terms were like skibbity,
Okay.
like Riz.
It's like the new version
Well,
of.
we already
when
know
I was
all
I
a-
know
those.
Riz, like I know that, but
when
it was
I
like
a substitute teacher when I was like
That's Ohio.
early 20s. The kids in the rooms would have that app where they would play the high frequency that they didn't think older people could hear.
Yeah.
But I wasn't that much older than them, so I could hear still. But I wonder how it is now. If I've lost the ability to hear
I've
high
actually been
frequency.
playing it this whole time.
No!
None of you heard it. No. Okay. DCNC, or no, this was Surenko Productions. He said, hashtag bring back blonde Brett. Let's go.
You will never get blonde dyed hair Brett again.
Why?
Really?
Why
Really?
not? It looked so
know.
good on you. Everyone loved it.
It was great.
My hair
Different
is,
color then.
Yeah, and my
Different
hair is-
color?
No, just
Red?
no more dye.
Blue?
I'm not dyeing my hair.
Chartreuse.
Chartreuse.
Why are you so against it, though?
don't
Like, what
wanna-
happened that made you willing to do it twice?
I was bullied into it before. That's what happened.
So now you have more self-respect.
Yes.
You're growing as a
right.
person.
I don't.
He
want
did a thing.
He did a
I did a
thing.
thing.
Okay. The Chronicles of Mexico said Satanists believe in karmic retribution. They show you who they are, so you have to pick between them and God. If you ignore, you lose favor with God. I mean, I guess it just depends on what you mean by ignoring them, because if you pay too much attention to what these people are doing, you actually are ignoring God.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, you know, stop doom scrolling all of these videos from the Olympics ceremony and go to church. Like, that's...
nobody ignoring something is not going to harm your standing in the afterlife. It's about what you do, not about what you don't do.
Yeah. We have a limited attention span. Red Snow said, just for the sake of it, raining blood, let's go.
Let's go.
Okay, I don't know what that means. Shane H. Wilder said, she turned me into a newt. I got better.
Got better.
Red Snow said, am a lame millennial, bought a house, F with me.
No, the point is, when you buy the house, you don't downplay it.
Now you're getting people angry.
When you buy the house, you don't downplay and say, we did a thing.
Right.
That's lame.
Be proud of buying
be like,
a
You just want them to be very proud of the things they're doing.
You did something that everybody in Gen Z and half of millennials bitch about 24/7 online when they complain about boomers not being able to buy a house. Have some pride in the fact that you did something that a bunch of whiners are complaining about not being able to do.
I like this.
You should be proud of it.
Yeah, I know.
This version of Brett's fun.
Next week,
I like angry
Next
Brett.
week you can buy Brett's book. We did a thing.
Yeah.
Was the next one from Serenko?
Yes.
Metatron is the greatest of angels in Jewish myths and legends. Not a figure of the Hebrew Bible, but his name appears briefly in the Talmud. His legends are mostly found in mystical, Kabbalistic texts.
Also used as a lyric in a Mars Volta song, which I love quite a bit.
They still around?
No. Well, who knows? They might be, but not. Yeah. They had a record last year. It was actually really good. Yeah.
I love this one. Gordon Shumway. Brett, how can you do a thing in this economy when there is a genocide in Gaza?
Can you imagine buying a home when there's people dying in other countries? What kind of soulless cretin would do such a thing?
Thank you for the 7th party. So now we're not cursed.
Now we're not cursed.
And Rhaegar Targaryen said Robert Downey Jr. is Doctor Doom. The MCU is cured.
Not true. You
Not so
can't-
sure about
You can't cure what ails them in 2 movies. It's going to take a lot more than that. Also, there's just the argument that, you know, the time has passed and they had their moment.
DCNC said Aidan Trump versus Brett Randy Savage Rage.
Oh yeah.
Like for the fighting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have absolutely I don't know who this man is. I've never met him. He means nothing to me. As everybody knows, I am the greatest wrestler of all time. I won.
There you go. Yep.
Red Snow said, I'm proud I could buy a home. It wasn't a meme.
Good. I'm proud of you.
Congratulations.
I am proud of you for being proud of buying a home. Not just in buying the home, but actually understanding that it was an accomplishment.
I keep trying to buy a house and nobody in my area is accepting FHA loans. And I'm like,
bummer.
What is wrong with you? Is the house going to get nailed during the inspection? No?
Right.
Then why aren't you selling to young people?
That's interesting.
Like, what's your problem?
They're
I'm trying to start a family. I'm trying to participate.
There are towns that don't want a lot of change, and they fear young couples.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I live in town. I'm from this area.
Right.
It's not like me moving in from somewhere random. I'm not from
Right.
New York or California trying to capitalize on this cute little small town. I'm from here. I just want to own a home.
And maybe it's an anti-podcaster thing.
That could be it.
It's anti-podcaster discrimination.
It's a nice big yard for the dogs, and it had like all the space.
They're podcast phobic.
It was like enough to start a family in.
What are the squatter rules? Maybe you could, maybe
Oh
you
yeah,
could
you
try
are
that
living
out.
in a great day and age where you can just walk it in.
That's true. Yeah.
Look into that.
Unfortunately,
Figure it out.
Pennsylvania is a stand your ground state.
Darn. Okay.
Like fortunately, but unfortunately, for squatter.
For that, for that theory.
High Voltage 75 said, and a ginger side in Hollywood.
Seriously.
Gingercide.
Between the femicide in the Congo, the genocide in Gaza, and the ginger side in Hollywood, there's all these sides going on, and you guys just go on living your life watching podcasts.
Yeah, pick a side, guys.
Seriously.
Wow.
The rumbling
That's a good shirt.
said, angry
Like an
Brett.
apostrophe before the C.
Angry Brett sounds like angry
Sue it.
Keanu
that's right.
Reeves. LOL.
That's a compliment. Thank you.
All right, I see it.
Thank you.
Halls and the Kids said, dye the beard blonde, Brett.
No.
Oh, that is an absolute
Give the
not
people what they want.
Jessica.
I don't know about you. Like I have like red tones in my beard.
Yeah.
I do when mine grows out
Yeah.
too. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. Just no.
No more
Sorry.
semi-permanent changes?
No. I'm
I
keeping...
guess it's only fair because, like, I wouldn't dye my hair.
Yeah, see? There you go.
For the show.
All right, guys. Before we go, you should get us to the 8th crisis party, and I'm just going to say that.
We are most of the way there.
Wow.
Who's listening at this point?
That's
we can say whatever we want.
What the hell's going on here? Anyways, 9/11 was an inside. What?
What?
Hey, now we're talking.
Well, hey, I mean, they just got life in prison,
Yeah.
so
9/11 was an inside job.
Yeah, interesting.
So, guys, hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. Mary, there's one more there.
Red Snow said the podcast phobia is real. I got a good deal because of nepotism.
Ooh.
We're very
Podcast discrimination.
Yeah.
It's a real issue.
You guys are all focused on all the LGBTQ discrimination and the real discrimination. I mean, they make the joke that everybody starts a podcast nowadays. So that's the...
Podcasters literally carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders.
I love making the joke about this job being difficult because it upsets people because they think we're serious. And, or, you know, they're like, you're it's not backbreaking labor. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm very aware of how lucky I am to do the job that I have. And that's a blessing. So, guys, remember, there is a genocide going on in Gaza. So what you should do is, so, guys, hit the like button on this video. Subscribe if you've not done so already. And thank you guys so much for coming today. Shane, let everybody know where they can find you.
It's a pleasure to be here. You can find me at Shane Cashman everywhere online. The show's Inverted World Live. Aidan's been on it. We're going to get these guys on it soon. That's every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'm going to leave this place and be on IRL in about an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever time it is.
You're going to race over
there. Yeah, I'm going to race over there. You can see you guys there.
Zoom, dude. Good Lord.
Right. Aidan. Where can they find you?
Oh, yeah. You can find me over at the Lore Lodge right here on YouTube. We also have several other channels that we've launched. If you're into music, then we have Off the Record with Luke Eccles. It's its own channel, Off the Reckles, at Off the Reckles. And then we also have Boozy Mixologist and his new podcast, Last Call Lounge. And they talk about, he talks about the bar life and working in bars and just crazy stories from it. So those are some fun. And other than that, you can get our merch on Bunker Branding, this was not the best time to have a Bunker Branding launch after, the events of the month of July, but we felt waiting till August was enough.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
We have a couple more. Waffle Sensei said, Brett, you know you want to be blonde. Just dye it slowly over time so no one thinks you caved to our demands.
Ooh.
No.
One
You can have plausible deniability. We all know that you want to be blonde. Halls and the Kid said, the movie The Forgotten explains Mandela. I've never seen that.
Two more.
The Gnostic Alien said, 'cause Mary's cute. Thanks. High Vultures 75 said, go eat some nourishing food, everyone. You earned it.
Gonna eat the least nourishing food I can possibly find.
Just to spite him. Yeah.
Mary, where can they find you?
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
Why can they only send you hate on X and validation on Instagram?
I think it's respectively where those things belong.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Halls and the Kid says, guys, they're so close to 8 parties. Again, I'm just making that statement.
Oh my God.
No reason whatsoever. Guys, if you want to follow me, Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms, or if you just want to keep Shane here until he's late for IRL, you can do that. At Brett Dasovic on both at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you would like to listen rather than watch this show. And if you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook and not TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, because we were banned on TikTok, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Mary, there's one more there.
Sithkill sent us a 20. Thank you. He said, fan of all of your shows. Have a great weekend. Thank you. I think we might actually make it to the 8th party now.
That's right.
Gordon Shumway said hostage party.
Well, we're getting there. I think
We've been in the hostage party stage.
we're going to probably need $5 more.
We just need $5 more. Podcasters everywhere are working so hard to entertain you. The least you can do. The least you can do is send us $5 of your hard-earned money.
There's 2 more there.
And then you did. Okay. Sorrento Productions said hostage party, let's go. DCNC said, Shane, how fast is your vehicle? Gordon Shumway said hostage party again. Red Snow said, you can find Mary at Taco Bell.
Stay tuned for the post-credit crisis party, guys. We'll see you later.
Bye.